Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Roderick Geo channel. Today, we're going to be watching something a little bit different. And as you can see from the thumbnail and the length of the video, that we're going to be watching quite a bit today. The thing we're going to be looking at is the ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization. I love space stuff. I've been following space stuff my entire life. If I was a little bit smarter, maybe I would have looked into getting into a field with something to do with that within NASA or something. But that didn't quite happen. I'm here, and that's okay. So yeah, I haven't really looked into a lot of detailed information on the ISRO, but I feel like it's potentially time for me to see what's up. So, of course, we have the ISRO website here, but we are going to be taking a look at a couple different YouTube videos. Now, I chose these at random. We're going to be looking at the National Geographic India video, ISRO to Space and Beyond. It happens only in India. National Geographic. Then we have ISRO conquers moon! Exclamation mark. Chandrayaan 10 should put Indians on moon by 2035. Geopolitics by Abhijit Chavda. Then we have why are Russia, US, and India racing to space by Think School. Then we have India versus Pakistan, the space race, Vikram Sarabhai story by Abi and Nayu. And then we have ISRO versus NASA, the history and future of space race by Dhruv Rathi. And then, of course, we have this one just out of left field, the Astrographics channel, the Indian space program more ambitious than China. This guy is interesting because he has like 20 videos, and I used to watch all of his stuff way back in the day, but I haven't looked at anything as of late. So it's interesting. I think this is one of his newer channels. It's interesting. I want to take a look at it and see what's up. So yeah, of course, we have a few videos here that we're going to be looking through, reacting to. It's probably going to take a little while, so this video is going to be a little bit hefty in length. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get things started, yeah? I think first up we should watch the National Geographic video, ISRO, to Space and Beyond. It happens only in India. Indian space program ISRO is not only making giant leaps to the moon, Mars, and beyond, but is also playing a huge role in the development of the country through education, agricultural, and communication and defense sector projects. Follow ISRO's journey to space and beyond. It happens only in India, only on National Geographic. I didn't subscribe to them last time I watched their video. Well, as you know, and I'll say this before every video, um, I subscribe to every channel that I react to, and I will put the link to every video I react to in the description below. So make sure to go and check them out as well. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Yeah, why not? We're going right in. Oh, okay.
ब्रह्मांड रहस्यों से भरा पड़ा है और इसे समझने के लिए हम इंसानों ने अंतरिक्ष में कई यात्राएं तय की हैं। क्या दूसरे किसी ग्रह पर जीवन है? क्या किसी ग्रह पर पानी होगा?
Will there be water?
सवाल हैं जिन्हें दुनिया भर की स्पेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस
there actually is water on other planets. I mean, even the closest planet to us, Mars, there's water on that, right? So
आज भी तलाश रही हैं।
Water is actually very abundant in the universe. Just a matter of if there's liquid water. That's the real thing.
एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऐसी भी है जो सूरज तक पहुंचने की तैयारी कर रही है। इंडियन स्पेस रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन यानी
To reach the sun.
चलिए जानते हैं इसरो की शुरुआत कैसे हुई।
हमने स्पेस मिशन को एक एक्सपेरिमेंट की तरह किया कि हम कोशिश करेंगे कैसे हम भारत के किसानों का फायदा करें, कैसे हम मौसम का अनुमान लगाएं ताकि भारत में जो बाढ़ आती है, लहरें तेज आती हैं, लोगों को डिस्ट्रॉय कर देती थी घरों को, वो कैसे खत्म करें। हमने इन सब चीज़ों के लिए इसरो बनाया। इसलिए इसरो हमेशा ह्यूमिलिटी पे बना, इसरो हमेशा संवेदनाओं पर बना, कंपैशनेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है।
1963 में भारत ने पहला साउंडिंग रॉकेट लॉन्च किया।
Wait, okay, so the first sounding rocket launch from Thumba Balasore? Did I say? I probably butchered that name, that pronunciation of that name, but it started as early as 1963? That's wild.
विक्रम साराभाई और होमी जहांगीर भाभा ने उसे लॉन्च करने के लिए तिरुवनंतपुरम के पास मौजूद थुम्बा के मैरी मैगडलेन चर्च को चुना।
डॉक्टर साराभाई ने जहां पर चर्च था वहां पे रॉकेट असेंबली प्लांट लगा। जो फादर परेरा का घर था वो ऑफिस
Wait, hold on. So let's go back.
थुम्बा के मैरी मैगडलेन
This is in Kerala, isn't it? Or no. Is this Kerala or Tamil Nadu? I can't quite remember which city this city is in. I think it's Kerala though, right? Launch it that was chosen. Yeah, I think this is Kerala. Don't quote me on that.
डॉक्टर साराभाई ने जहां
Oh
पर चर्च
no,
था वहां पे रॉकेट
it's actually really embarrassing that I forgot where that city was. And I knew, but I
असेंबली प्लांट लगा।
think it's Kerala.
जो फादर परेरा का घर था वो ऑफिस बना और
Pretty
जो
positive
मछुआरे का
Kerala.
घर था वहीं पे लॉन्च साइट्स बनाई गई।
The
और सन
Fisherman's
63
House.
नवंबर में हमने भारत का पहला साउंडिंग रॉकेट वहां से लॉन्च किया। शाम का वक्त था 6:30
Psalm
बजे।
63 sounding rocket. The subtitles are a
क्रिम्सन
little.
हो चुका था, वो लाल हो चुका था।
Whenever there's auto translation, it's always a little iffy on what's what in the timing and everything.
और उस लाल आकाश में सोडियम जो उसकी
So-
इजेक्शन निकलती है
Sodium juice? I don't think the word used was. It's like fuel or something, right? It's got to be something like.
वो इजेक्शन की वेपर ट्रेल डॉक्टर कलाम ने कई बार रिकॉल करी। इसरो की शुरुआत वहां से हुई।
1979 में जब पहली
What was this? Go back for a second.
इसरो की शुरुआत वहां से हुई।
First experimental flight of SLV-3.
1979 में जब पहली बार सैटेलाइट लॉन्च की गई तो वो क्रैश होकर
wow.
बंगाल की खाड़ी में जा गिरी। लेकिन इस नाकामयाबी ने इसरो के लिए नई बुलंदियों को छूने का रास्ता तैयार कर दिया।
79 में
good.
अनसक्सेसफुल लॉन्च मेरे ख्याल में एक बहुत बड़ा माइलस्टोन था क्योंकि उस अनसक्सेसफुल में 50% सक्सेस थी। और जो सबसे मुश्किल स्टेज होता था लॉन्च करना, उठाना किसी एक बड़ी बॉडी को अर्थ के सरफेस से ऊपर स्टेज 2 तक ले जाना वाज आई थिंक अ ह्यूज माइलस्टोन क्योंकि उस समय बहुत मिनिमम बजट में हमने ये काम किया था। 80 में उस अनसक्सेसफुल मिशन
First successful experimental
को हम
satellite was
वापस
launched in
सक्सेसफुल में
1980.
तब्दील कर पाए, बाकी दो स्टेजेस भी क्लियर कर पाए 1980 में। दैट वाज अ ह्यूज माइलस्टोन।
बस फिर क्या था, उसके बाद भारत ने कभी पीछे मुड़कर नहीं देखा। देखते ही
I heard of that.
The space
The people are really proud of the fact that
ने कभी पीछे
it was first transported by bike. Like it was such an up and coming project that like it was literally transported
देखते ही
via bike.
देखते ये स्पेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जिसने बैलगाड़ी पर रॉकेट ले जाने से शुरुआत की थी वो चांद और मंगल ग्रह तक पहुंच गया। अक्टूबर 2008 में लॉन्च किया गया चंद्रयान 1,
The
ऐसा
first
पहला
mission to
स्पेस
the moon
मिशन
in
जिसने
2008.
चांद की सतह
I didn't know
पर पानी
this.
के निशान को ढूंढ निकाला। ये इसरो की सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धियों में से एक है। 5 नवंबर 2013 भारत ने मार्स ऑर्बिटर मिशन लॉन्च किया।
These translations are so poor. Hopefully they're better for some of the other videos, but this one is very poor. Meat and Sun mission. She said mass orbital mission. Not I don't know. Okay.
बेहतरीन टेक्नोलॉजी से लैस ये मिशन अपने पहले ही लॉन्च में कामयाब हुआ। यानी भारत ने वो कर दिखाया जो दुनिया का कोई और देश नहीं कर पाया।
यानी कि एक रोबस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी,
Did something no other country could do then.
1/10 द कॉस्ट, पिक्चरों से भी सस्ती।
1/10
Gravity
the
movie
cost.
बनी,
That is something I heard that India is doing it at a way cheaper price than basically everyone else.
उससे सस्ती। मार्शियन मूवी बनी थी, उससे भी सस्ती। फिक्शन से कम कॉस्ट में हमने फैक्ट दिखा दिया।
15 फरवरी 2017
India launches a record-breaking satellites on a single rocket.
इसरो ने रिकॉर्ड तोड़ एक
India launches record-breaking satellite on a single rocket. The Indian Space Research Organization achieved a major milestone last night. It was successful recorded setting launching of 104 satellites. 104 satellites on a
103 नैनो
single
सैटेलाइट्स
rocket.
को और अर्थ ऑब्जर्वेशन के लिए बनी 714 किलोग्राम की सैटेलाइट को
Wow.
एक साथ एक ही रॉकेट से सफलतापूर्वक लॉन्च कर दिया और पूरी दुनिया को हैरान कर दिया। कहते हैं सितारों के आगे जहान और भी है। अंतरिक्ष में इंसान को भेजने से लेकर सूर्य तक सैटेलाइट भेजने तक भारत कई
Sending satellites to the sun. Are there any satellites orbiting the sun right now? There isn't many that I can think of. If any. It would have to be something that I would have to look
बड़ी
into. I would
तैयारियां
imagine
करना
it's incredibly difficult to have like any substantial satellites orbiting the sun, just specifically because of the pull of the gravity, and then of course the heat, and then the solar flares, and
हाँ है।
yeah.
2022 में हम गगनयान के नाम से हम लॉन्च करने वाले हैं। अनमैन्ड अनक्रूड होगा, उसको हम चेक करेंगे कि क्या सक्सेस रेट है।
I mean,
और
there
उसके
have been launches to the sun, obviously. I know there are launches to the sun, but I don't think there's any satellites currently orbiting the sun.
1-2 साल के अंदर we will send 3 humans hopefully for 7 days into space।
Oh.
7 दिन के लिए 1 सप्ताह बिताएंगे। और
They're
हम
planning on
जाएंगे
sending
सबसे
humans into
मुश्किल
space. I
जगह
thought
पे,
they
जो
already
सबसे
had.
गर्म
I thought they already had sent humans into space. Because they've joined with the International Space Station.
सबसे मुश्किल है वहाँ जाना और वो है सूरज।
I don't know.
ऐसा चमत्कार
Ma-
और
maybe some of the other videos will help me figure that out. Because unfortunately, the translation just did not work for me on this one.
कहीं नहीं होता।
Unfortunately.
It happens only in India.
Okay, cool. Well, let's take a look at some of the comments. There's only 187 comments, so well, we won't be looking at too many of them, but we still like to look at comments. So, ISRO, the pride of India. ISRO is a mixture of dedication, patriotism, emotions, like for Dr. APG Abdul Kalam, sir. Being in space fraternity, this instills additional pride in me. The ISRO is an elite group of efficient, visionary, and utmost patriotic scientists. Now they are Bal Hanumans aiming for the sun, praying for the long life of the ISRO think tank. Okay. ISRO, better than rest of the world in ours. Proud to be Indian. ISRO is the best. I still remember when there was a space race between the USA and Soviet Union to become the first to the moon. Then we carrying rocket parts on a cycles to build it. Then here we are with the dedication, love, and pride of our country to build one of the high-tech launch control, launch pads, and rocket assemblies buildings in the world. In 1963, the sounding rocket by Sir Vilcom Sabayal, all stages successful. Proud to be Indian. ISRO and an Indian Army. Pride of India. Well done, team. Your achievement is unbelievable. Best wishes and lots of love and respect. Prayers from Karachi, Pakistan. Do you have any space organization of yours? They have the best space program of the world. Just press one button, say 3 words, and go directly to space. What? Resources is just small things. Your dedication towards achieving something is very important. Well done, ISRO. Proud that we have great space organization. Jai Hind. Salute ISRO India. Proud and pride. Proud to be Indian. All right, let's take a look at some of the newer comments. Amazing. Hashtag East and West, my India is best. I'm a proud Indian. Awesome commentary. English, please? Question mark. I love ISRO. Love you. Hello, ISRO. I have a few questions on how look Earth from space. How look Earth from space? How look Earth from space? The fact that the first space center was built on land of the church should give a message to people that we are all one. Yeah. Proud to be Indian. God bless you, ISRO. Shah from KPK, Pakistan. Okay. Like the way he talked about genesis of ISRO. No one mentioned Nambi Naran Sir name. He developed a Vicus engine. Still, ISRO uses the Vicus engine. The Vicus engine. I don't know what the Vicus engine is. 2008, ISRO discovered the water on the moon. Credit goes to ISRO scientists. That's good. 2019, ISRO 98% successful in Chandrayaan 2 mission, but credit goes to Modi. What? Not Modi. Our scientists, you think this is not us? Reach till the first moon. Thank you, Modi. Modi, hi to thank you, Modi. This person literally said the same thing up here. Oh. Okay, Missile Man. We showed facts less than fiction. Anyone else who thinks that there should be a series on ISRO and his success? ISRO, the ultimate pride of India. Proud to be Indian. All propaganda. This person says is all propaganda. Okay. Old video. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think that's gonna be it for this one. Unfortunately, like I said, the auto translated subtitles didn't quite work for me, but hopefully the other videos will do a little bit better. God, this thumbnail is atrocious. Holy hell. Oh my god, this is appalling. I mean, my thumbnail's probably not going to be any better, but oh, sorry. I had to point that out. And then we have something over here with zebras with lasers. Like what are these recommended videos? What? Now we come across astrographics, the Indian space program more ambitious than China. Embark on an awe-inspiring journey through India's remarkable space odyssey, from its humble beginnings in 1960s to the cutting-edge missions to the moon and Mars. Witness ISRO's triumphs and challenges in this riveting saga. So like I said, this guy has like literally like 20 or to 30 YouTube channels, right? And you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, can I react to his content? There's some channels that are very picky on reactors and commentators, so I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Either way, like I said, the video link will be in the description for this video in particular. And let's go ahead and get things started, yeah?
To shake off the bird. Trekkies worldwide know that space is indeed.
Trekkies worldwide. Star Trek, huh? This is a weird image. This is very weird. Star Trek, wow. I mean, I liked some older Star Trek. I don't like any of the new Star Trek, but okay.
Indeed, the final frontier. One to be boldly explored by a species that wants to shake off the burdening shackles of mundane life on Earth.
True. Humans deserve to conquer the galaxy. We need to forget all of our troubles, come together as humanity, and reach out to the stars. That should be our ultimate goal.
Oh so draconian laws of gravity. As early as science and budgets would allow it, the greatest power.
This is weird. Okay, hold on. Is this a PSVR? This kind of looks like a PSVR. It's either a PSVR or a weird Meta Quest headset, because it doesn't have the strap on the top. And I think the Meta Quest. I had a Meta Quest. So I had an Oculus Rift 2 before they switched it to the Meta Rift 2 or whatever it was called. And it had a strap on the top. I don't know. I don't remember. I think this is a PlayStation VR. Weird. And they're like wearing these weird outfits. This is weird. Sorry.
On our planet have fired their brains and engines to project our thirst for knowledge, for prestige, for power. beyond orbit. For decades,
Okay.
this stellar exploration remained a privilege reserved for the Cold War era superpowers. Even today, when thinking about the space race, one must exclusively conjure images of Soviet cosmonauts and star-spangled astronauts. Well, think again.
True.
For the right combination
Whoa.
of scientific progress, national ambition,
Think again.
and careful budgeting practices have recently planted another flag in that realm of floating rocks and endless void, and that is India. This is the story of how India launched arguably the most ambitious, but almost surely the most cost-effective space program to date. India gained independence.
So there it is again. Cost effective. Yeah, I do think the budget for a lot of things is very ballooned and bloated, which does cause, I think that's the main hindrance of the NASA program over here in the US, is just how expensive everything is. And the budget that the US government gives NASA is minuscule and tiny in comparison to, like, say, the military. Anyways.
From the British Empire on August 15th, 1947. And
Do a
from the
little
very
history
start,
here.
its political leaders and scholarly elites realized the importance of science as an important factor for societal development and nation building. The ink on the Indian Independence Act had barely dried when Dr. Vikram Sarabhai founded the Physical Research Laboratory, or PRL, in Ahmedabad. With its focus on the study of cosmic rays, the PRL can be considered as the cradle of space research in India, and Dr. Sarabhai as the father of the local space program. Throughout the
You know, it is pretty fascinating how soon India like dove headfirst into getting into space after, you know, gaining independence from the British. That's pretty cool.
1950s, the PRL concentrated its research on space and atmospheric sciences, astronomy, astrophysics, and solar physics. During that same decade, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru pursued a non-aligned stance against the backdrop of the Cold War. Non-aligned was not the same as non-interested, however, and India observed carefully the achievements brought about by the space race between the US and the Soviet Union. The Soviet Sputnik program, in particular, inspired the PRL to form a Committee on Outer Space Research, COSPAR, and to request more funding and support from the Department of Atomic Energy. In 1962, COSPAR became INCOSPAR, or Indian National Committee for Space Research, which may be considered as the first incarnation of India's space agency. Now, at that time, India was far from being a superpower. Hence, INCOSPAR raised many eyebrows before it could actually raise any rockets from the launch pads. How could a team of scientists, however prestigious, lobby a government into forming such an enterprise? According to Gurbir Singh, author of the Indian Space Program, India's Incredible Journey from the Third World towards the First, much of the merit can be ascribed to Dr. Sarabhai and his partners in scientific crime. Quoting him, "Many successful Indian scientists of international repute were bright, gifted, and came from very successful industrial families. They had a lot of cash, and they also had contacts in high society. They knew the Prime Minister, so they were moving in the right circles. And I think that synergy helped to kickstart India in the direction it went." Critics of the program argued that India should focus on solving more pressing issues before looking to the stars. For example, in November 1962, India had just lost a border conflict against China, a defeat in
Yeah, I still need to look more into this conflict as well. It's one thing that I have not touched, a subject that I have not touched on, but I keep hearing and seeing it's a crucial thing.
no small part caused by a lack of military funding and inadequate logistics. Vikram Sarabhai himself argued that space research would play a critical role in nation building, national development, and scientific progress to the benefit of ordinary citizens. There are some who question the relevance of space activities in a developing nation. To us, there is no ambiguity of purpose. We do not have the fantasy of competing with the economically advanced nations in the exploration of the moon or the planets or manned spaceflight, but we are convinced that if we are to play a meaningful role nationally and in the community of nations, we must be second to none in the application of advanced technologies to the real problems of man and society.
You know, I've said it before. I really do think that every human should have ambition to further along humanity's outreach into space. I really do. If we as a species, as we as a humanity, if we as a collective, a whole, the human race, if we want to continue our legacy, we have to get out into the stars. We have to go out and conquer the galaxy. That's really what I believe.
Dr. Sarabhai's vision first became a roaring reality in 1963 with Inca Spa's first successful mission. This was the launch of an experimental sounding rocket, which took off from the
Sound. Oh, okay. What happened there?
Thunder
Anyways, sounding rocket is a suborbital craft designed to probe the upper atmospheric regions. In this case, the rocket from Thumba carried a small sodium capsule to be released at an altitude of 150 kilometers. Okay.
Equatorial Rocket Launching Station in Kerala. A sounding rocket
Okay, so it was Kerala. Cool. Cool. That's what I thought.
It is a suborbital craft designed to probe the upper atmospheric regions. In this case, the rocket from Thumba carried a small sodium capsule to be released at an altitude of 150 kilometers. The aim of the experiment was to observe the diffusion of the sodium payload from the ground. 6 years later, August 15th, 1969, Inca Spa was reorganized as ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization.
That's cool.
In 1962, ISRO became the research and development arm of the newly constituted Department of Space, or DOS, itself under the direct authority of the Prime Minister at the time, Indira Gandhi. Back in August 1971, India and the Soviet Union had signed a treaty of peace, friendship, and cooperation, whose Article 6 was dedicated to consolidating and expanding, quote, mutually advantageous and comprehensive cooperation in the scientific and technological fields. A cooperation which benefited also ISRO's endeavors. In fact, on April the 19th, 1975, India's first satellite, Aryabhata, was launched by a Soviet Cosmos 3M rocket from the Kapustin Yar cosmodrome. This was an experimental craft which remained active until March 1981, orbiting Earth at a maximum distance of 619 kilometers. In 1979, ISRO made its first attempt to put a satellite in orbit with its own rocket, SLV-3E1, a mission which resulted in failure. But on July 18, 1980, SLV-3E2 successfully took off from Sriharikota, placing the Rohini satellite in low Earth orbit. Less than a year later, on June 19, 1981, India launched its first experimental communication satellite, entirely designed and constructed locally. This was
It's so cool. It's so fascinating. Like, it literally, India was literally still just a budding and growing nation at the time, and it's so cool to me that there was such a big focus and emphasis on doing their own space research and sending out their own rockets and satellites and everything. It's so cool.
the Apple, or Ariane Passenger Payload Experiments, the first of the Indian National Satellite Series, also known as INSAT. This consists of 14 operational satellites, one of the largest orbital communication systems in the Asia-Pacific area, fulfilling a variety of functions such as television broadcasting, telemedicine, meteorology, advanced disaster warning, and even satellite-aided search and rescue missions. In the late 1980s, ISRO launched another series of crafts as part of the IRS program. Our friends in the US may associate a sinister ring to that letter acronym, but in this case, IRS stands for Indian Remote Sensing, indicating the acquisition.
The IRS is the Internal Revenue. What is it? The Internal Revenue Service? I think it's service. They're the ones that take all of our money via taxes. Taxation's theft, by the way. I should say overtaxation is theft. There should be some tax, but the way that it is now, too much tax is taken out.
Of information at a distance. The IRS satellites have been used to conduct environmental analysis, cartography missions, as well as rural and urban development surveys. As of today, India can boast the largest fleet of remote sensing satellites, catering to the needs of both local and global clients. And naturally, this amount of kit required ISRO to acquire or develop a matching fleet of launch vehicles. Up to the end of the 1980s, the Indian Space Agency and the Department of Space fulfilled the initial vision of Dr. Sarabhai of propelling technological development for national advancement and the benefit of the population, eschewing the logic of the space race raging between the two superpowers. But throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, after the USSR had collapsed and the Cold War had become just a plot device for nostalgic Hollywood flicks, India became embroiled in a space race of its own. Earth's orbit was no longer the ultimate frontier. India now aimed for the moon, and the rival to beat was the other Asian regional power, China. According to the already quoted Gurbir Singh, the moon mission and many other ISRO space programs have been influenced by similar programs in China. In 2003, China had its first human spaceflight success. In 2007, they sent a spacecraft to the moon. They have built their own space stations. So India has been following in China's footsteps, just like what happened in the Cold War between the US and Soviet Union. The rivalry with Beijing was the impetus for ISRO's first lunar mission, Chandrayaan-Pratham, or Chandrayaan-1 Sanskrit for first journey to the moon.
Chandrian? Chandrian. Chandrian. Okay.
Moon. On October the 22nd, 2008, a Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, or PSLV, rocketed off from the Sriharikota Space Center carrying a moon impact probe as well as an orbiting craft. The probe and the orbiter were equipped with a video imaging system, a radar altimeter, and a mass spectrometer to analyze the lunar atmosphere. They also carried science instruments on behalf of NASA and the European Space Agency, the ESA. The impact probe
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
landed on the moon's south pole on November the 14th, 2008, sparking off celebrations around the country. The accompanying satellite has since conducted 3,400 orbits of the moon, conducting a chemical, mineralogical, hydrological, and photogeologic mapping survey before communication was lost on August the 29th, 2009. During the first decade of this century, the ISRO and the DSO also cooperated with the armed forces to develop India's military presence in space. In 2001, the joint agencies launched the Technology Experimental Satellite, India's first military application satellite. Since then,
That's scary. Military operation satellite. I'm assuming probably just for like military communications or lasers from space, or I think or is like banned, isn't it? I don't know.
14 orbital crafts have been fired into space to fulfill intelligence, surveillance,
Yeah,
and reconnaissance
okay.
duties, and especially to monitor troop movements on the disputed borders with
I don't mean to laugh when he's talking about this sort of stuff, but like this image is like oh yeah, we're shooting lasers. It's directly at China as well. That's funny. Anyways.
Pakistan and China. Speaking of which, in 2011, a joint Russian-Chinese expedition to Phobos, one of the moons of Mars, failed. By his own admission, the then chairman of the ISRO, Dr. Radhakrishnan, took this Chinese failure as a prompt for the next endeavor, sending a craft to the Red Planet, or in Sanskrit, to Mangala. The official name of ISRO's Martian
Mangala. Oh, that's an interesting name for it. I've not heard of that. Mangala.
expedition was Mars Orbiter Mission, or MOM for short. But it's become better known by the name of the craft that they use, Mangalyan. The Mangalyan was scheduled to be launched in 2013, using a geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle rocket, the GLSV. This vector could have boosted the Mars craft out of our planet's orbit and directly towards its final destination, but it suffered 2 failures in 2010. This forced ISRO to make a difficult choice. Fixing the issues of the GSLV would have taken more than 3 years, pushing the launch date to 2016. But the space agency wanted to keep their original timeline, so they took a gamble and enlisted the services of the less powerful PSLV rocket. This would have placed Mangalyan only as far as highly elliptical Earth orbit, and from there, the Mars craft itself would have used its own engines fired at precise points to then shoot off toward the Red Planet. And the gamble played out. On November the 5th, 2013, the PLSV ferried the
That's so
Mangalyan to
cool.
the stars, and after some
That sounds like there should be a movie made out of that.
300 days, the craft successfully entered Mars's orbit on September the 23rd, 2014. The mission continued to operate for 7.5 years, collecting data on the Martian landscape and atmosphere through its payload of 5 scientific instruments. ISRO had become the 4th space agency to reach Mars after previous expeditions organized by NASA, ESA, and Roscosmos, its Russian counterpart. MOM, Mars Orbiter Mission, became notable also for other organizational reasons. First, it marked a significant milestone in terms of gender equality within ISRO, as 27% of key positions were filled by women who took charge of major areas such as navigation, communication, control system, and spacecraft design. Second,
That's
it
pretty
marked a
cool.
record in terms of cost efficiency. Let's draw a comparison with NASA, shall we? On November the 18th, 2013, 2 weeks after Mangalyan's launch, NASA's Maven mission lifted off from Cape Canaveral. The Vector's payload entered Mars's orbit on September the 22nd, 2014, 1 day before ISRO's satellite, and it's still in operation. The cost of the entire mission was $582.5 million. Quite the sum, and actually the entire expenditure came under the forecasted budget. And now for the overall costs of ISRO's Mars Orbiter mission. This was approximately $73 million. That's an eighth of what NASA spent on a very similar thing. Not only that, $73 million is $35 million cheaper than the budget for Ridley Scott's 2015 blockbuster movie, The Martian. By the end of the decade, the
Wow.
Department of Space had expanded its already ambitious program by firing into orbit dozens more satellites. But the jewels in their crown were 2 missions in 2019, which once again both met with triumph and were tinged by failure. First came Mission Shakti in March 2019, co-developed with the military. In fact, this consisted of testing an anti-satellite weapon against a previously launched target craft, the Microsat-R. The test was a complete success, prompting Prime Minister Narendra Modi to describe his country as a military space power, saying,
Wow.
India has made an unprecedented achievement today. India registered its name as a space power. Not hiding that the test was motivated by reasons of national pride, Modi tweeted, In the journey of every nation, there are moments that bring utmost pride and have a historic impact on generations to come. India has successfully tested the anti-satellite missile. The second mission, more peaceful and arguably more exciting, was a second trip to the moon, Chandrayaan-2. This was a significant evolution of Chandrayaan-1. In addition to sending an orbiter around the moon, ISRO would place a landing craft and a rover on its southern pole. The aim was to conduct a detailed analysis of our natural satellite's topography, seismography, minerals, and surface composition, a complex study designed to understand the origins and evolution of the moon. The Chandrayaan-2 craft reached lunar orbit on August 20th, 2019, and on September 2nd, the lander Vikram detached from the orbiter and descended to an altitude of 2.1 kilometers from the moon's surface. As it was about to gently float to ground level, a software glitch caused mission control to lose contact with Vikram, and the lander veered off course. Its fate remained unknown until NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter detected some scattered debris near the intended landing site. Both Vikram and the rover had failed. Not all was lost, however, as the Chandrayaan-2 orbiter continued to do its job. Equipped with the highest resolution camera ever deployed in a lunar mission thus far, it will continue to snap and shoot well into the year 2026. Now,
I mean, that's still pretty good, right? You gotta look at the you have to be optimistic. You have to look at the successes even in your failures. And yeah, if the highest resolution satellite imaging, I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Now, good sci-fi trilogies teach us that the second installment is usually the pinnacle of the franchise, but that's not always the case, and the second chapter is more often than not just the prelude to the grand finale. And that came in 2023, under the title of Chandrayaan-3.
I have heard of
On August 23rd of
this.
that year, ISRO successfully landed its new craft on the lunar surface, deploying a small rover weighing 26 kilograms. This was designed to operate for 14 days and carried two payloads, a laser-induced breakdown spectroscope, or LIBS, intended to study the chemical and mineralogical makeup of the surface, and an alpha particle X-ray spectrometer to determine the elemental composition of soil and rocks around the landing site. In addition to these studies, the landing craft itself was equipped with 4 further payloads, collecting data on the thermal properties and structure of the moon's upper crust and mantle. Once again, ISRO proved that they could conduct successful space missions on par with more established counterparts at a very low cost. According to phys.org, this can be achieved, quote, by copying and adapting existing technology and thanks to an abundance of highly skilled engineers who earn a fraction of their foreign counterparts' wages. In fact, the overall cost for Chandrayaan-3 was $75 million. To continue our theme of comparisons with Tinseltown, just the year before, Roland Emmerich, the master of disaster, had released Moonfall to the production budget of $146 million. It's 4.4 out of 10 on IMDb, by the way. Just a week after Chandrayaan
Yeah, Moonfall was not a wasn't a masterpiece. We'll go with that.
3 had success on September 2nd, 2023, ISRO launched its next endeavor, the satellite craft Aditya L1. Those familiar with Hinduism may know that Aditya is one of the attributes of Surya, the solar deity, which points to the objective of this mission, studying the sun. More precisely, performing an analysis of coronal mass ejections, a periodic occurrence in which huge blasts of plasma and magnetic energy erupt from the solar atmosphere, potentially reaching Earth and disrupting the functioning of satellites. The end goal of the Aditya L1 satellite is to predict future coronal ejections early enough so that satellites can be temporarily shut down and then resume their operations. On January the 6th,
cool.
2024, Aditya L1 reached its destination, which is not exactly the sun, mind you, but somewhere much closer to home. A location of the Sun-Earth system known as the Lagrange Point 1, at approximately 1.5 million kilometers distant from our planet. This is where the gravitational forces of the Earth and the Sun are in perfect equilibrium, thus allowing for the craft to maintain a stable position. Aditya L1 will stay
Interesting. Okay. Huh.
at the Lagrange Point 1 for the next 5 years, whilst collecting data with its 7 locally designed and built payloads. Thus far, ISRO and the Department of Space have reached the Moon, Mars's orbit, and are in the process of unveiling the secrets of the Sun's coronal ejections. So what's next? A sequel to Mangalyaan is scheduled for 2026, another orbital mission around the Red Planet, which may be followed by a proper landing in the near future. The Indian Space Agency has also initiated a joint project with its Japanese counterpart to develop another lunar probe by 2026, as well as a Venus orbiter by 2031. But how about manned missions? An Indian astronaut, Rakesh Sharma, already went to space in 1984, but this was part of a Soviet trek. For an all-Indian expedition, we'll not have to wait very long. On February the 27th, 2024, ISRO chairman Dr. Sridhara P. Samanath announced that 4 Air Force pilots had been shortlisted for India's first spaceflight to take place in 2025. Three of them will
That's really soon.
will be eventually selected for mission Gaganyaan and spent 3 days at an orbit of 400 kilometers. At the time of preparing this episode, ISRO has successfully conducted safety tests and is about to conduct a dress rehearsal with a robotic crew. All the while, the human crew has been readying themselves at the astronaut training facility in Bengaluru, plowing through a curriculum which includes flight suit training, microgravity familiarization, aeromedical training, survival, and yoga, because you can't go into orbit with a bad back. If Gaganyaan is a success, ISRO will launch into the next stages of its 2047 roadmap, which aims to achieve some pretty ambitious milestones by the year 2047, exactly 100 years after India gained independence. For context, China has a similar grand strategy for space, the 2049 roadmap. Note that 1949 is the year which modern communist China was founded. In other words, the two nations have embarked on a good old-fashioned space race, both aiming to outlaunch, outland, and outprobe each other before a date of immense symbolic importance. Who is more likely to win this contest in the long run? Well, we'll look at China's space program in detail in a separate episode, but Beijing appears to have the edge in certain fields, such as reusable spaceplane capability and solar power. Moreover, China was able to launch manned missions as early as 2003, but India's program does showcase the potential to quickly catch up.
What is this though? China's never been to the moon. What is this? What is that?
As early as 2003. But India's program does showcase the potential to quickly catch up. The next stage in ISRO's roadmap is delivering its space station by 2035, with a first unit to be finalized in 2028. The station will orbit at an altitude of 140 kilometers and will host at least 3 astronauts. Next, Indian astronauts plan to walk on the moon by 2040. This endeavor will be followed by more Chandrayaan missions, with the last one, number 7, aimed at building a permanent lunar infrastructure. In addition to these publicly funded enterprises, the Department of Space is looking to develop and support the Indian commercial space sector. To this end, the department has set up 2 new bodies, the New Space India Limited and the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, better known as InSpace. Their aim is to support the private sector in growing the future competitors to the likes of SpaceX and Blue Origin, which sounds like a future private space race is on the horizon as well. The key element here is that were India to develop a cost-efficient commercial sector, ISRO itself would benefit from its services and potentially cut down on its annual budget of $1.8 billion, which is $1.8 billion more than you or I have, but it is ridiculously low compared
25.4 billion is NASA's budget.
to NASA's annual budget of $25.4 billion. As of March 2024, ISRO has conducted 96 launch missions and released into the cosmos 124 spacecraft,
Wow.
a more than respectable tally achieved in record time. It appears that India still has to catch up with some of China's achievements and definitely with those of more established space agencies. But the outlook for ISRO appears positive. As Professor Namrata Goswami, a consultant for Space Fund Intelligence, wrote in an article for The Diplomat, given China's economic problems, India might be just constituted right to include its demographic dividend by the 2040s and talent pool to catch up quickly. But the outlook for ISRO appears very positive.
Very cool. Well, that was a good video. I actually really enjoyed that. A nice little history deep dive into the Indian space program. So, with that being said, I think it's time to read some comments, yeah? Okay. Brits, what is this? Brits crying in the comment section is just hilarious. If this comment section was a C, I would have harvested enough salt to last a lifetime. Oh, geez, is the comment section rough? What are we in for here? Here's a list of India's GDP. Okay, versus the UK. 4.1 to 3.5, 14.5 to 3.5, 8.4 to 0.7, 5, 11 to 12. Okay, you get it. You can go and take a look at that. Conclusion: don't compare a rising sun with a setting sun. The hate comments here, thanks for your concern, help might be better than making fun of us. Hate comments mean Indians doing great. Okay, so apparently there's some hate comments here. The dogs bark, but the caravan moves on. May India continue to achieve success and prosper. UK still can't launch a single rocket of their own. We Indians slap racism with success and prosperity. In the last century, Western media always laughed at China's poverty and backwardness. Exploring space was like a dream for us at the time, but now we are gradually getting rid of poverty and we can build our own space station. As a large Asian country with rich culture and history, India will surely achieve the same success as China. Come on, India. Make Asia great again. I hope our two countries get along together and work together to achieve great heights. God bless both of our countries. You are right. It's time to bring back our glories. Both countries have very rich history and culture. It's time that we people of the East should rise again. Best luck, China, from Indian. Comment showing India is developing fast. Westerners in comment section saying work on poverty and not space exploration just proves that nothing has changed since the British time. I'm glad we Indians are friends with Russia. Look at the frustrated racist Western comments. I haven't seen any yet, so they're either extremely downvoted or what's I don't know what's going on. You know what? Let's scroll a little bit and see. Oh, hold on. I saw something there about what was that? Um, I don't know. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit more. All right. Okay. Can you cover the upcoming Artemis mission? Space is big enough for all countries to explore based on their capabilities. Comparison only promotes animosity. Why not promote collaboration and cooperation? The Kohinoor diamond. Also, please don't forget. Well, someone's queen was poor. What is this about this diamond? Okay. I think this is like looted from a Hindu temple. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. My India is great. Okay, India is regaining its space power when world was living in canvas. When world was living in canvas, while Indians were writing books on space objects in ancient times, India is rebuilding fast. We were the most advanced civilization. We will the most advanced civilization again. No one can stop this. All right, I want to see some of that racism. I want to laugh at the racists. Where are they at? Sup nerds. British stole 45 trillion. I mean, yeah, of course. This wasn't part of the video though. Superpower, according to the Brits, is currency. I don't think he ever brought any comparison to the British though. Here's another UK looted. Um, it's getting funny now. These insecurities among racists is a good sign for us. All right, I really got to see some of these racist comments. um, all right, let's. Here's some Chinese. If you don't need to implement your plan, then you can propose any plan without restrictions. But if the plan is to be realized, you must consider the limitations of reality and not have any wild ideas. Okay. Google telling China don't be evil. College students telling Google don't be evil. Okay, as an Indian, I really love Chinese people. It's just I don't like the CCP. Pakistani bots here good. I want the Indian IRS. There isn't the taxman. Another Chinese comment here. Chinese people don't like to compare with India because we know that India is already an undisputed superpower. Bless India, love from China. The most polluted land on Earth is now throwing trash into space. Great. Okay, here's a racist comment. Not most polluted, but okay, thanks for the kind words. Glad you I mean the most polluted country on earth is China. It's not India. Glad you liked it, by the way, sir. Do you know we don't even have toilets whenever we have poop? We go to America. Love you, Western world. What? What? By the way, do you know India is going to launch your European Union solar satellite to space after 2 days? First, build your own launch vehicles, will then lecture us. Hogward Ginger. Thank you for the compliment. Gora Pecora? I don't know. It's pronounced ISRO like NASA. 2 syllables. ISRO? ISRO? Keep on winning. Wimp. US should India to help on the Artemis project with the cost effective of the Indian space program and the limited but yet abundant US funding a win for both countries. The cost for SpaceX and Boeing is simply too high compared with India. Just like last week, India tested SCE 200 rocket engine, which is the same category engine used in Long March 7 SLS and SpaceX starships. Okay. Chandran does not mean first journey to the moon. It literally translates to mooncraft. Oh, interesting. If only these two could work together. Investment in space is investment for the future. I want to hear this guy say Ringardrium Leviosa. Oh. Harry Potter, got it. Okay. Wingardium Leviosa. Okay. All right, funny. Ha ha, funny, funny. You forgot the 104 satellite launched in one shot? I mean, it would, yeah. I don't think this is like it was a full history lesson. Why not compare the space program between China and the US? Is India building their own ISS, not International Space Station, but Indian Space Station? I don't know. Are they? I don't think they have any plans for it, right? This is not emerging Indian, but getting back towards being Akhand Amrit Bharat, and it's just Star we Bharatya are going towards infinity. I'm more ambitious. I'm more ambitious than India because I'm planning to conquer the universe. But where are the hate comments? Go to the top of the comment section, select newest, and voila. All right. Da 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 da. Newest comments. Let's see some hate comments. After looting 45 plus trillion, UK can't even launch a fucking rocket. The hissing, spitting, backbiting Cobra Modi, who has been hiding in the pit, now suddenly wants to own the skies. Wait till you grow wings to become a dragon. Okay. Chinese comment here. Some Indians are so arrogant that they even claim that aerospace technology surpasses China. Let at least complete manned spacecraft. If only Xi was replaced by someone that's not paranoid and can settle border disputes, and unconditional cooperation between Russia, India, and China will pretty much uproot any influence the West has on the world. This comment section is sponsored by the BBC and Global Times. Rockets go to to na na na. That's that famous that song. This is a song in the ocean. This guy's saying, okay, all right. Anyways, another Indian daydream community, in my opinion, or no, IMAL. Lamau, and maybe he meant to be L. Build more Oh, yeah. Okay, that should have been Lamau. Build more toilet before you compare. Okay, so that's a racist comment. Um, ambitious but incompetent. Have they shown incompetency? I don't think they have. It's time we bring back our glories. Both countries have very rich history. I think I already read that comment. What poor Indian will get from space program? What country's 80% people starving daily? This is called horse disease. What? USA have homeless people too, having raising your equality too. Poverty in the US is rising. Why doesn't US stop funding NASA? As for India, we are smart enough to take decisions for us. You are in no authority to lecture us. Failed country UK. Okay. We are much better than Pakistan now. All right. Oh, here's another racist comment. Please build and use toilets on the moon. What is this toilets thing? I don't understand. I don't understand the whole toilet thing. India and China best friend. Speech so fast. India love Israel. China still has a long way to go to catch up with India. UK will always be the daddy of India. Why does every Indian want to come here? What? Gotta find some AATA first. What does that mean? India have bigger economy, faster GDP growth. India, it's called Pakistan. The land belongs to Pakistan. Oh my God. All these are troll comments. 100%, right? There's no such thing as India. It was created by the British. All right, troll comments. Troll comments. What comes to mind when you think of India? Lizard laughing. Lizard? Lizard. Maybe that's another thing that I'm unaware of. India is first, the United States is second, and China is third. How to evaluate it? There's still a big gap between India and China. Come on, we have been neighbors for so many years. I hope you live well. Well, yeah, it's cheaper because you just copy it and not make it themselves. Didn't they make their own rockets though? What is the name of the British space program and how many rockets have they launched? Just asking. Looting after they trust you. I mean, this wasn't a comparison to the British, though. I don't know why the British keep getting brought up. Probably because this guy's British. This guy's British, right? He's British, but I think he's like living in like Central Europe, like Romania, maybe. It's one of those countries. So yeah, sure, he's British, but he's not living in the UK anymore. India always talk louder. The West loves hyping up India against China. I mean, yeah, I'm not opposed to that. That one's true. I do like to hype up India against China. Um, now that Modi is not going, now that Modi is not going along with all of the American interest, they're getting more and more human right criticism from the West. Not unexpected. Here's another British stole 45 trillion from India. I don't think China would like to compare with India as you do. Please don't put India with China in the same category. We are a second superpower in the world. Compare us with the US is fine. Yes, you're right as a Chinese. Even I think US cannot compare with India in the future. Go India. I mean, okay, so here's the thing. He didn't really compare. They clearly didn't watch the video because he didn't compare them. He gave a history on India's space program. He didn't compare India to China. He just gave a history on India's space program and asked the question, are they more ambitious than China? Okay, well, I think we're done with this comment section. And we'll move on to the next video. And now we move on to Dhruv Rathi. ISRO versus NASA, the history and future of space race. Um, uh, we'll probably get a lot of the same information that we got from the last two videos, which is perfectly fine. I'm here to learn a little bit, hear a little bit of insight from different people, and who knows, maybe there's going to be some new things in here. The ISRO is a name that brings pride to all Indians. A very short span of time, it has made its mark in the world as a premier space agency. ISRO has gained a reputation for being efficient, cost-effective, and largely successful in its missions. But do you know how ISRO was formed and how it became one of the most revered space agencies? Who was the man behind ISRO? And most importantly, where does it stand when compared to NASA? This is the story of the ISRO, a success that has been equally contributed by the dedication of men and women working for ISRO, a never-ending story of rich Indian capabilities in science and technology. This is one of the stories of the times of a better India. This is one of the stories of the times of a better India. Huh, interesting. Okay, I like how this is... I like how the first comment, I usually read the comments last, but the first comment is, I'm a Pakistani and I appreciate the progress of India. Well done, India. That's funny. That's funny. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it, yeah? Maybe? Hello?
नमस्कार दोस्तों, साल 1947 की बात है। सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर को खत्म हुए सिर्फ 2 साल गुजरे थे और अमेरिका और सोवियत यूनियन के बीच में तनाव बढ़ने लग रहा था। ये दोनों देश दो सुपर पावर्स की तरह उभर कर आए थे वॉर के बाद, लेकिन इन दोनों की पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजीज में एक जबरदस्त क्लैश देखने को मिला। इनके बीच भारी राइवलरी की वजह से कोल्ड वॉर की शुरुआत हुई।
The Cold War.
इस समय में दोनों देश
The Cold War pushed for a lot of innovation between the countries.
अपने न्यूक्लियर हथियारों को और ताकतवर बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे। इसी के लिए ये दोनों देश एक इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल की डेवलपमेंट करने लग रहे थे। एक ऐसी मिसाइल जिसका इस्तेमाल किया जा सके न्यूक्लियर हथियारों को डिलीवर करने के लिए एक कॉन्टिनेंट से दूसरे कॉन्टिनेंट, अमेरिका से सोवियत यूनियन पर या सोवियत यूनियन से अमेरिका पर। इन आईसीबीएम्स को इतने लंबे डिस्टेंसेस कवर करने के लिए बेसिकली बाहर की स्पेस में रॉकेट लॉन्च करना पड़ता। तो दोनों देशों को पता था कि अगर किसी भी देश ने ऐसी
I don't think the US rockets go that route. I think I'm pretty positive they both countries send it up and around, like from Alaska through to Soviet space or up, across like the North Pole. I think there's even like U.S. military bases on Greenland. I don't know if they're not. Well, then none of that even matters anyways, because nuclear subs would launch missiles anyways. But not that we launch missiles now. I don't think that would be necessarily the case if we were to go to war. Anyways.
बेसिकली बाहर की स्पेस में रॉकेट लॉन्च करना पड़ा। तो दोनों देशों को पता था कि अगर किसी भी देश ने ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप कर ली जिससे स्पेस में पहुंचा जा सकता है, तो उस देश के पास हथियारों के मामले में एक बहुत बड़ा एडवांटेज होगा। इसी रीजन से दोनों देश कंपटीशन में लग गए कि कौन पहले स्पेस तक पहुंच सकता है। इन दोनों के बीच में एक स्पेस रेस की शुरुआत साल 1955 में अमेरिका ने अनाउंस किया प्लान कि वो आर्टिफिशियल सैटेलाइट्स लॉन्च करेंगे स्पेस में।
To share its meaning is not governed by the efforts of others. We go into space.
इस अनाउंसमेंट के कुछ ही दिन बाद सोवियत यूनियन ने कहा कि वो भी आर्टिफिशियल सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करना चाहते हैं। करीब 2 साल बाद अक्टूबर 1957 में सोवियत यूनियन नासा का पूरे साल का बजट है अराउंड $24 बिलियन।
What was that?
इसे कंपेयर नासा का पूरे साल का
What was
बजट है।
that? Why
तीसरा
did it
कारण आ
skip?
जाता है दोनों एजेंसीज का बजट। नासा का पूरे
Okay,
साल का
weird.
बजट है अराउंड $24 बिलियन। इसे कंपेयर करो इंडिया में डीओएस के बजट से, जिसे $1.7 बिलियन मिलते हैं एक साल के। और डीओएस के अंडर एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है इसरो। तो इसरो को उस 1.7
Did we
बिलियन
miss?
का कुछ
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, wait a minute. What's going on? We missed a ton of information. Why did it skip like that? Weird, man.
कुछ ही दिन बाद सोवियत यूनियन ने
Weird.
कहा कि वो भी आर्टिफिशियल सैटेलाइट
weird.
लॉन्च करना चाहते हैं। करीब 2 साल बाद अक्टूबर 1957 में सोवियत यूनियन इस रेस में आगे निकल गया। उन्होंने इतिहास रच दिया स्पुतनिक को लॉन्च करके, दुनिया की पहली आर्टिफिशियल सैटेलाइट।
The Soviet
Sputnik,
Union has
yeah.
launched the world's first satellite, Sputnik.
Sputnik's pretty cool. Very famous.
एक महीने
Very
बाद
cool.
उन्होंने एक और सैटेलाइट भेजी, स्पुतनिक 2। इस बार इस
Dog,
सैटेलाइट के
yeah.
अंदर पहली बार एक लिविंग क्रीचर था, एक कुत्ता जिसका नाम
A lot of animals were sent up to space. Most animals sent up to space did not end well for them.
था लाइका। अमेरिका ने कैचअप किया जनवरी 1958 में।
I think Laika is like the direct influence for Superman's pet dog or something, right? There's a DC Superman dog, and then there's also one in Marvel where it's a dog that was trapped in space. Nerd stuff, I know, I'm sorry.
जब उन्होंने अपनी पहली सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करी एक्सप्लोरर 1। इन दोनों देशों के बीच में कंपटीशन इतना भयंकर था, मोटिवेशन इतना ज्यादा था कि स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी में प्रोग्रेस बड़ी तेजी से देखने को मिला। इसी बीच इंडिया में बैठे एक साइंटिस्ट डॉक्टर विक्रम साराभाई बड़ा इंस्पायर्ड फील होने लगे इस स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी में डेवलपमेंट्स को देखकर। स्पेशली स्पुतनिक की लॉन्च के बाद साल 1957 में इन्होंने रियलाइज किया कि एक देश के विकास के लिए स्पेस में डेवलपमेंट करना कितना जरूरी है। साल 1962 तक इन्होंने जवाहरलाल नेहरू को कन्विंस कर दिया
This is a cool photo.
कि इंडिया के पास भी अपना एक स्पेस प्रोग्राम होना चाहिए। और कुछ इस तरीके से जन्म होता
I like the inclusion of this. This is really cool. Like historical photos like this, that's really cool.
होना चाहिए। और कुछ इस तरीके से जन्म होता है दोस्तों इसरो का।
India is aiming to become the fourth space agency to reach the mythical sphere.
They were the fourth? There was no other country?
संगठन है, इसे पूरी तरह से भारतीय संगठन कह सकते हैं।
1979, SLV-3 satellite launch vehicle. I was the project director, mission director.
Interesting.
My mission is to put the satellite in orbit.
शुरुआत में इसरो का नाम होता है इनकोस्पार, इंडियन नेशनल कमिटी फॉर स्पेस रिसर्च, और प्रधानमंत्री जवाहरलाल नेहरू इसे सेटअप करते हैं अंडर द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एटॉमिक एनर्जी। डॉक्टर विक्रम साराभाई को इसका चेयरमैन बनाया जाता है और यही रीजन है कि डॉक्टर साराभाई को हम आज के दिन जानते हैं एज द फादर ऑफ इंडियन स्पेस प्रोग्राम। अपने शुरू के दिनों में इनकोस्पार के पास बहुत ही लिमिटेड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और रिसोर्सेज होते हैं। यही कारण है कि ऐसी फोटोज आपको देखने को मिलेंगी जहां पर रॉकेट के पार्ट्स को साइक्लो पर और बुलक कार्ट्स पे ट्रांसपोर्ट किया जा रहा है। ऐसे ही
This is so cool. This is such like a juxtaposition. Like, look, you see something as advanced as, you know, a machine that's meant to go into outer space being pulled along on a one-axle cart with a bull. Just the juxtaposition of it is so cool.
इनकोस्पार को किसी दूर के एक गांव में एक पुराने
It's
चर्च में
inspiring,
बिशप
really.
के घर को कंट्रोल रूम बनाना पड़ता है। तो दूसरी तरफ ऐसे भी केसेस देखे गए हैं जहां पर
There have also been cases where a toilet in Bengaluru. What?
बेंगलुरु में किसी एक टॉयलेट को रिपर्पस किया गया एज अ सैटेलाइट
What is this? During these days, infrastructure was not available, and we used what was available. In Bengaluru, we even converted a toilet into a data receiving center for our first satellite. What? A toilet? Oh. What? Okay.
सैटेलाइट डेटा रिसीविंग सेंटर। रिसोर्सेज की कमी की वजह से बहुत जुगाड़ करना पड़ा था शुरू में, लेकिन इंडिया की स्पेस जर्नी ऑलमोस्ट इमीडिएटली शुरू हो गई थी। नवंबर 1963 में इनकोस्पार के एस्टैब्लिश होने के सिर्फ एक साल बाद इंडिया ने अपना पहला रॉकेट लॉन्च किया। ये एक साउंडिंग रॉकेट था, एक ऐसा रॉकेट जिसमें इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स होते हैं अलग अलग मेजरमेंट्स लेने के लिए। अर्थ की एटमॉस्फेयर में इलेक्ट्रॉन्स को स्टडी करने के लिए इसे लॉन्च किया गया था और उस वक्त इसे सप्लाई किया था नासा ने। इसके सक्सेसफुल लॉन्च के बाद इंडियन साइंटिस्ट को एक्सपीरियंस मिला, नासा से सीख मिली और फिर हमने बनाया अपना पहला खुद का साउंडिंग रॉकेट। इसे नाम दिया गया था रोहिणी 75 और 20 नवंबर 1967 को इसे सक्सेसफुली लॉन्च किया गया। इसके कुछ साल बाद 15 अगस्त 1969 को इंडिया के 22nd ईयर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस में इनकोस्पार को रीनेम कर दिया जाता है इसरो, क्योंकि अब ये सिर्फ कोई कमिटी नहीं थी, ये अपनी खुद की एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बन गई थी। एक ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जिसका मकसद था स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल करना देश के विकास के लिए। एक बार फिर से डॉक्टर साराभाई को चेयरमैन बनाया जाता है इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का। डॉक्टर साराभाई की लीडरशिप के अंडर इसरो के साइंटिस्ट बड़ी मेहनत से काम करते हैं स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी की फील्ड में। साल 1975 में जाकर इंडिया अपनी पहली आर्टिफिशियल सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करता है, जिसका नाम होता है आर्यभट्ट।
Country's first satellite, Aryabhat, was launched into space. The satellite name was given after Aryabhat, who was a famous Indian astronomer, mathematician in the 5th century.
Unfortunately, Dr. Sara
I like the inclusion of like some old school news highlights.
भाई जिंदा नहीं रहते इस मुकाम को देखने के लिए। उनका देहांत साल 1971 में ही हो जाता है कार्डियक अरेस्ट की वजह से। लेकिन उनके बाद अगले इसरो चेयरमैन बनते हैं सतीश धवन, एक बहुत ही टैलेंटेड मैथमेटिशियन और एरोस्पेस साइंटिस्ट। वैसे जो पहली सैटेलाइट की लॉन्च थी ये की गई थी सोवियत यूनियन से। इसरो ने सोवियत यूनियन की मदद ली थी क्योंकि इंडिया और सोवियत के बीच में एक एग्रीमेंट हुई थी। लेकिन आने वाले दशक में 1980s में नए रिकॉर्ड्स टूटते हैं। इंडिया सक्सेसफुल हो जाता है अपना खुद का सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल बनाने में, तो बाकी देशों पर अब रिलाय करने की जरूरत नहीं सैटेलाइट्स लॉन्च करने के लिए। पहला सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल SLV-3 इस्तेमाल किया जाता है रोहिणी सैटेलाइट को ऑर्बिट में भेजने के लिए। और इसके बाद इसरो कई और सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल्स पर काम करता है, जैसे कि ऑग्यूमेंटेड सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल ASLV या फिर पोलर सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल PSLV, जियो सिंक्रोनस सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल्स GSLV, जिसका इस्तेमाल किया जाता है सैटेलाइट्स को जियो स्टेशनरी ऑर्बिट्स में भेजने के लिए। साल 1983 में इसरो एक बार फिर से नासा की मदद लेता है इनसैट सैटेलाइट को लॉन्च करने के लिए। इनसैट का फुल फॉर्म है इंडियन नेशनल सैटेलाइट सिस्टम। बेसिकली एक सीरीज।
See, one cool thing that we've seen so far is the organizations helped each other in different ways, which is really cool.
ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन सैटेलाइट्स जिन्हें अर्थ के ऑर्बिट में डाला जाता है, जिनका मकसद है रेडियो वेव्स के थ्रू कम्युनिकेशन किया जा सके। इसकी मदद से अब इंडिया में टेलीविजन ब्रॉडकास्टिंग करी जा सकती थी, वेदर की फोरकास्टिंग करी जा सकती थी, कोई बड़ा डिजास्टर आ रहा है, कोई टोर्नेडो आ रहा है कहीं पर, पहले ही वार्निंग दी जा सकती थी इन सैटेलाइट्स की मदद से। इंटरेस्टिंग चीज ये थी देखनी, जहां एक तरफ अमेरिका और सोवियत यूनियन एक दूसरे से बड़े कंपटीशन में लगे हुए थे, इंडिया ने टाइम टू टाइम इन दोनों ही देशों की स्पेस एजेंसीज की मदद ली। अप्रैल 1984 में एक और रिकॉर्ड टूटता है। राकेश शर्मा, एक फॉर्मर इंडियन एयरफोर्स के पायलट, पहले और इकलौते इंडियन सिटीजन बन जाते हैं स्पेस।
Is that really true? He's the only citizen so far? I see. I could have sworn there was another like Indian astronaut that's been to space. Maybe I'm just mistaken. Okay.
में जाने वाले ये एक्चुअली में सोवियत यूनियन के रॉकेट सोयूज T-11 में बैठकर स्पेस में गए थे। 8 दिन तक स्पेस में रहे थे एज अ पार्ट ऑफ सोवियत इंटरकोस्मोस प्रोग्राम। वैसे ऐसी यूजफुल खबरों से अपडेटेड रहने के लिए एक चीज मैं कहूंगा कि न्यूज चैनल्स पर मत रिलाय करा करो, अखबार पढ़ा करो। अखबार पढ़ना एक बहुत अच्छा सोर्स है नॉलेज गेन करने के लिए डेली। न्यूज चैनल्स पर जब कभी कोई खबर दिखाई जाती है तो उसे 1 घंटे के टाइम स्लॉट को फिल इन करने के लिए खबर को खींचना पड़ता है, उस पर फालतू की डिस्कशंस करनी पड़ती है, हल्ला मचाना पड़ता है, टेंशन।
Is this like his advertisement plug that he's about to do? Maybe? I don't know.
बनाए रखने के लिए। दूसरी तरफ अखबारों में जितनी बड़ी खबर है, जितना कुछ कहने को है, उतना ही बड़ा आर्टिकल लिखा जाता है। और लिखते वक्त आर्टिकल्स को एक सर्टेन लेवल ऑफ रिसर्च करनी पड़ती है जिससे कि क्वालिटी आती है। ये मैं जनरली हर टाइप के अखबार के लिए कह रहा हूं, लेकिन एक अखबार जो मैं यहाँ पर आपको सजेस्ट करूंगा, आप ट्राई कीजिए, वो है टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया। स्पेशली इनका नया इनिशिएटिव
Okay, yeah, this is a partnership with the Times of India.
द टाइम्स ऑफ अ
So
बेटर
you,
इंडिया।
you can,
ये फोकस करता है इंडिया की सक्सेस।
well, it's not going down, but you can see the partnership thing down here. Interesting. Partnership with the newspaper. Huh. Interesting.
स्टोरीज पर लिंक नीचे
I mean,
डिस्क्रिप्शन।
I know some people are partnered with like ground news, but then that ground news is like a hub for all sorts of news articles, not just a singular specific news article. Interesting.
में मिल जाएगा, चेकआउट करके देख सकते हैं। अगले 2 दशकों में इसरो की गति और तेजी से बढ़ती है। साल 2008 में चंद्रयान 1 मिशन सक्सेसफुल हो जाता है। इंडिया का पहला मिशन चांद पर जाने वाला।
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, +1, +2, +3।
ये एक टर्निंग पॉइंट बन जाता है पूरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए। दुनिया को पता लगता है कि इसरो भी यहाँ पर क्या करके दिखा सकता है। और जब तक 2013 में इंडिया का पहला मार्स ऑर्बिटर मिशन लॉन्च किया जाता है और इंडिया इतिहास में पहला देश बन जाता है मार्स के ऑर्बिट में सक्सेसफुली एंटर करने वाला फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में।
It became the first country to enter Mars's orbit on the first attempt. Interesting.
ऑर्बिट में सक्सेसफुली एंटर करने वाला फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में।
I don't think that I don't think that was mentioned in the other videos that I've seen so far.
+1, 2, lift normal.
What is this?
इसरो को एज अ स्पेस एजेंसी दुनिया की टॉप स्पेस एजेंसीज में गिना जाने लगता है। इंडिया को एक स्पेस सुपर पावर माना जाने लगता है। ये मार्स मिशन कई मायनों में ऐतिहासिक था। इंडिया चौथा देश था सिर्फ ऑर्बिट में जाने वाला मार्स के, और हमने ये कर दिखाया था सिर्फ $74 मिलियन की कॉस्ट में, जो कि बहुत कम कॉस्ट होती है। जो हॉलीवुड फिल्म बनी थी मार्शियन,
This again, the Hollywood film The Martian. Okay.
उस फिल्म का बजट ही इंडिया के मिशन
we
के
literally
बजट से
had this
ज्यादा था।
comparison earlier as
$108
well.
मिलियन उस पर स्पेंड किए गए थे।
I
versus
mean,
70
it's an apt comparison. It's literally a movie based around someone trapped on Mars for $108 million, while sending a satellite to Mars cost less.
4 मिलियन यहाँ पर। लेकिन एक सवाल जो बहुत से लोगों के मन में यहाँ पर उठता है, इसरो की ये बड़ी अचीवमेंट्स नासा के सामने कितनी फिट बैठती हैं? क्या इसरो नासा की बराबरी कर सकता है? अब नासा की स्थापना दोस्तों सिर्फ 4 साल पहले करी गई थी इसरो से, साल 1958 में। लेकिन तब से लेकर अब तक नासा ने 1000 से ज्यादा अनमैन्ड मिशंस और करीब 245 मिशंस लॉन्च किए हैं आउटर स्पेस में। इनमें से सबसे बड़ा था साल 1969 में, जब पहली बार इंसानों को चांद पर भेजा गया।
He decides the way to beat the Soviets is to put a man on the moon.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
नील आर्मस्ट्रॉन्ग
I wish we still went to the moon, man. It's such a travesty that we stopped going, but it's understandable. Like the cost to research, ratio, I guess just too high.
पहले आदमी बन गए चांद पर कदम रखने वाले अपोलो 11 के मिशन में। अमेरिका आज के दिन इकलौता देश है जिसने इंसानों को चांद के सरफेस पर लैंड कराया है। इसके अलावा इनका केपलर स्पेस टेलीस्कोप जिसने हजारों एक्सो प्लैनेट्स को डिस्कवर किया है, यानी वो प्लैनेट्स जो हमारे सोलर सिस्टम के बाहर हैं। नासा की मदद से ही इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन को लोअर अर्थ ऑर्बिट में प्लेस किया गया, एक ऐसा स्पेसक्राफ्ट जिसमें इंसान रह सकते हैं, काम कर सकते हैं और एक्सपेरिमेंट्स कर सकते हैं स्पेस में। फिर नासा ने मार्स के सरफेस तक पर भी रोवर्स भेजे हैं, जैसे कि 2015 में क्यूरियोसिटी रोवर मार्स की जमीन पर लैंड किया और पानी का पहला एविडेंस पाया कि मार्स पर लिक्विड स्टेट में वाटर एग्जिस्ट करता है। और हाल ही का जो फेमस जेम्स वेब स्पेस टेलीस्कोप है, जिस पर मैंने 2 वीडियोस भी बनाए हैं, अब जाकर देख सकते हैं, इनका लिंक मैं नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन में डाल दूंगा। बहुत ही नई चीज
The James Webb Telescope, real time travel. I mean, it's technically time travel. You're viewing time, you're viewing the past, right? whenever you're looking into space, whenever you're seeing stars, starlight, that's the light you see from a star is from a past, way beyond human comprehension, right? Like however long it takes, hundreds of thousands of light years, that's hundreds of thousands of years in the past. So
चीजें जिसकी वजह से हमें पता चली ये भी नासा ने ही लॉन्च की। तो क्या कारण है एक्चुअली में कि नासा बाकी स्पेस एजेंसीज के कंपैरिजन में इतना आगे है? इसके पीछे सबसे बड़ा रीजन तो दोस्तों वही है जिसकी मैंने वीडियो के शुरू में बात करी थी। नासा को साल 1958 में एस्टैब्लिश किया गया था सोवियत यूनियन के रिस्पॉन्स में।
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket.
सोवियत यूनियन जब इस रेस में दौड़कर आगे निकल गया, जब उन्होंने अपनी पहली सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करी, तब अमेरिका को लगा कि हम पीछे कैसे रह सकते हैं, हम भी सिविलियन कैपेसिटी में एक अपना स्पेस प्रोग्राम बनाते हैं। इन दोनों के बीच में इतना ज्यादा फियर्स कंपटीशन था कि इतनी ज्यादा इनोवेशन हमें देखने को मिली। इसके अलावा दूसरा कारण है नासा के गोल्स। नासा के गोल्स अगर आप डिटेल में देखोगे तो आपको दिखेगा कि उनका बेसिकली मकसद है मैनकाइंड की नॉलेज को इंक्रीज करना और इंसानों की प्रेजेंस स्पेस में बढ़ाना। इसे आप इसरो से कंपेयर करो तो इसरो को एक्चुअली में किसी देश से कंपीट करने के लिए नहीं बनाया गया था। इंडिया की किसी दूसरे देश के साथ कोई जंग नहीं चल रही थी कि इंडिया को मजबूरी में आकर, प्रेशर में आकर इसरो डेवलप करना पड़ा। इसरो का मकसद था स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजीज को डेवलप करना देश के सोशियो इकोनॉमिक बेनिफिट के लिए। ऊपर ऊपर से देखकर आपको लगेगा कि इनके मिशन काफी सिमिलर है, लेकिन ट्रेडिशनली देखा जाए तो नासा का शुरू से ही रिसर्च, एक्सप्लोरेशन और टेक्नोलॉजिकल एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करने में ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट था। उन्होंने अपोलो 11 का मिशन इसलिए किया क्योंकि वो सोवियत यूनियन से आगे निकलना चाहते थे। वो पहला देश बनना चाहते थे जो एक्चुअली में किसी को चांद पर भेजे। वो दिखावे के मामले में एक ज्यादा बड़ी सुपर पावर बनना चाहते थे। यहाँ पर एक रेस चलने लग रही थी। दूसरी तरफ इसरो ने ऐसी चीजों में फोकस किया जिससे देश को भला हो, जैसे कि एक ऐसा सैटेलाइट नेटवर्क बिछाया जा सके जिससे टेलीविजन की ब्रॉडकास्टिंग हो सके, वेदर फोरकास्टिंग करी जा सके। हालांकि जो बाद के मिशंस थे इसरो के, जैसे कि चंद्रयान या मंगलयान, वो एक्सप्लोरेशन की कैटेगरी में ज्यादा फिट बैठते हैं, लेकिन शुरुआत में इसरो का फोकस उन चीजों पर इतना नहीं था।
That is something good to point out, how they weren't started as the same way that the US or the Russian space program were started.
कारण आ जाता है दोनों एजेंसीज का बजट। नासा का पूरे साल का बजट है अराउंड $24 बिलियन। इसे कंपेयर करो इंडिया में डीओएस के बजट से, जिसे $1.7 बिलियन मिलते हैं एक साल के। और डीओएस के अंडर एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है इसरो, तो इसरो को उस $1.7 बिलियन का कुछ पोर्शन ही मिल पाता है। तो अप्रोक्सीमेटली देखा जाए यहाँ पर नासा का बजट 20 गुना ज्यादा है इसरो के कंपैरिजन में। ऑब्वियस सी बात है, नासा के पास ज्यादा पैसे हैं स्पेंड करने के लिए और एम्बिशियस और एक्सपेरिमेंटल मिशंस पर। इसी की मदद से वो रोवर्स भेज पाते हैं मार्स पर, जुपिटर और सैटर्न के मून्स पर मिशन भेज पाते हैं, एस्ट्रॉइड्स तक पर भी वो स्पेसक्राफ्ट्स भेज पाते हैं। इसरो अपना ज्यादातर बजट एक्चुअली में स्पेंड करता है नई टेक्नोलॉजीज को डेवलप करने में, स्पेस व्हीकल्स की कंस्ट्रक्शन में, ग्राउंड स्टेशंस और जो नेसेसरी स्पेस मिशंस हैं सिर्फ उन्हें ही कंडक्ट किया जाता है। इतना ज्यादा पैसा बचता नहीं है ज्यादा मिशंस करने के लिए। तो नेचुरल सी बात है कि इतने सालों बाद नासा का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कहीं ज्यादा बेहतर है इसरो के कंपैरिजन में। लेकिन कुछ चीजें यहाँ पर जरूर हैं जहां पर इसरो नासा से आगे है, जैसे कि एफिशिएंसी, रिसोर्सफुलनेस और कॉस्ट इफेक्टिवनेस। फॉर एग्जाम्पल साल 2005 में नासा ने एक सोलर मिशन लॉन्च किया था स्टीरियो, जिसकी कॉस्ट पड़ी थी $550 मिलियन उस समय पर।
See, I didn't know about this stereo launch. A solar mission for $550 million.
आज के दिन इसरो का आगे प्लान है कि एक सिमिलर सा सोलर मिशन लॉन्च किया जाएगा, आदित्य L1, जिसकी कॉस्ट पड़ेगी सिर्फ $55 मिलियन, वो भी आज की इकोनॉमी में। तो इमेजिन कर सकते हो 1/10 कॉस्ट पर सेम मिशन किया जा रहा है। सिमिलरली नासा ने 2 मिशंस प्लान किए हैं वीनस प्लैनेट पर आने वाले टाइम में। एक होगा इनका वेरिटास मिशन, जिसे साल 2028 में लॉन्च किया जाएगा, और एक होगा दाविंसी मिशन, जिसे साल 2029 में लॉन्च किया जाएगा। टोटल कंबाइंड कॉस्ट एस्टिमेट करी गई है $1 बिलियन। दूसरी तरफ इसरो ने अपना शुक्रयान 1 मिशन प्लान किया है जो वीनस पर जाएगा। प्लान के अकॉर्डिंग ये 2025 में किया जाएगा, यानी कि नासा से पहले किया जाएगा, और कॉस्ट एस्टिमेट करी गई है $62 मिलियन से लेकर $125 मिलियन के बीच में। फिर से
Again, a tenth of the cost.
किया जाएगा।
That's funny. Again, a tenth of the cost.
इसलिए इसका एक और बहुत बड़ा एग्जांपल था हाल ही का मार्स मिशन, जो एक फ्रैक्शन ऑफ द कॉस्ट में किया गया था। आने वाले टाइम में इसरो के 3 मिशन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट होने वाले हैं। पहला गगनयान, दूसरा आदित्य L1 और तीसरा चंद्रयान 3। एक्सपेक्ट किया जा रहा है कि इन तीनों को
Yeah, this video is a little bit older, so that
अगले साल
Chandrayaan 3
2023
mission had
में
already
लॉन्च किया
happened.
जाएगा। इनमें से सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट मिशन होगा गगनयान मिशन, क्योंकि ये देश के इतिहास में सबसे पहला मैन्ड मिशन होगा टू स्पेस। आज तक इसरो ने कभी भी इंसानों को स्पेस में नहीं भेजा। ये गगनयान पहला ऐसा मिशन होगा जिसमें ऐसा अटेम्प्ट किया जाएगा। इसरो 3 लोगों के क्रू को स्पेसक्राफ्ट में भेजेगा। ये स्पेसक्राफ्ट अर्थ के बाहर चक्कर लगाएगा 5 से 7 दिन तक एट अ हाइट ऑफ अराउंड 400 किलोमीटर अबव द सरफेस। इस मिशन के लिए बजट रखा गया है 9000 करोड़ से ज्यादा का, और ऑलमोस्ट सारी चीजें इस मिशन की इंडिया में ही डेवलप करी जाएंगी। जो भी लॉन्च व्हीकल होगा, स्पेसक्राफ्ट होगा, लाइफ सपोर्ट सिस्टम होगा, क्रू एस्केप सिस्टम होगा, सब कुछ इंडिया के अंदर डेवलप किया जा रहा है इंडियन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के द्वारा। बस एक एस्पेक्ट है इस मिशन का जिसके लिए इंटरनेशनल कोलैबोरेशन की जरूरत होगी, और वो है एस्ट्रोनॉट्स के जो स्पेस सूट्स होंगे और एस्ट्रोनॉट्स को जो ट्रेनिंग दी जाएगी। ये किया जाएगा रशियन स्पेस एजेंसी रोस्कोसमोस की मदद से। 4 इंडियन एयरफोर्स के पायलट्स को ऑलरेडी ट्रेनिंग के लिए भेजा जा चुका है रशियन स्पेस एजेंसी में। इसके अलावा कुछ फ्लाइट फिजिशियंस और कम्युनिकेशन की जो टीम होगी वो फ्रेंच स्पेस एजेंसी के साथ ट्रेनिंग कर रही है, नेशनल सेंटर फॉर स्पेस स्टडीज यानी CNES। अगर इंडिया ये मिशन करने में सक्सेसफुल होता है तो इंडिया चौथा देश बन जाएगा दुनिया का जिसने अपनी कैपेसिटी में एस्ट्रोनॉट्स को लोअर अर्थ ऑर्बिट में भेजा। अभी तक ये सिर्फ 3 देशों ने किया है, USA, रशिया और चाइना। और जैसा मैंने बताया, राकेश शर्मा अभी तक इकलौते इंडियन सिटीजन है जो स्पेस में गए हैं। तो एक सक्सेसफुल गगनयान मिशन का मतलब हुआ कि ये भी चीज अब बदल जाएगी। यहाँ पर आप सोच रहे होंगे कल्पना चावला के बारे में। कल्पना चावला का जन्म एक्चुअली में इंडिया में ही हुआ था, करनाल में। वो इंडियन ओरिजिन जरूर थी लेकिन इंडियन सिटीजन नहीं थी जब वो स्पेस में गई थी, तो टेक्निकली उन्हें अमेरिकन ही कंसिडर किया।
See, this is what I was confused by. Okay.
जा सकता है। अब
She's
गगनयान
considered American. She was not an Indian citizen when she went into space. She was considered American. Okay.
थी जब वो स्पेस में गई थी, तो टेक्निकली उन्हें अमेरिकन ही कंसिडर किया जा सकता है। अब गगनयान मिशन के भी 3 फेजेस हैं। पहली जो 2 फेजेस हैं, गगनयान 1 और गगनयान 2, ये दोनों अनमैन्ड मिशंस होंगे, यानी स्पेसक्राफ्ट को स्पेस में भेजा जाएगा जिसमें कोई इंसान नहीं होंगे, सेफ्टी टेस्ट करने के लिए। ये जो 2 टेस्ट फ्लाइट्स हैं ये अगले साल से ही देखने को मिलेंगी हमें, और इसके बाद जो फाइनल मैन्ड मिशन है जिसमें इंसान स्पेस में जाएंगे, ये होगा साल 2024 में। इसके अलावा जैसे मैंने बताया, आदित्य L1 एक और इंपॉर्टेंट मिशन जिसे लॉन्च किया जाएगा फर्स्ट क्वार्टर ऑफ 2023 में। ये इंडिया का पहला मिशन होगा जो सूरज को स्टडी करेगा। इसके लिए कॉस्ट रखी गई है अराउंड 378 करोड़ रुपीस। और फिर होगा इसरो का चंद्रयान 3 मिशन, जो कि तीसरा मिशन होगा मून पर। 2019 में चंद्रयान 2 भेजा गया था जिसने लैंड करने की कोशिश करी थी, लेकिन लैंडर जो था उसका, विक्रम लैंडर जिसका नाम था, वो मैल फंक्शन कर गया था एक सॉफ्टवेयर ग्लिच की वजह से, और ये लैंडर क्रैश कर गया था। चंद्रयान 3 फिर से यही चीज अटेम्प्ट करेगा और एक सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग करने की कोशिश करेगा मून के साउथ पोल पर। इसके अलावा टाइम में आगे जाएं तो कई और मिशंस प्लान किए गए हैं इसरो के द्वारा, जैसे कि शुक्रयान 1 जो वीनस पर जाएगा, साल 2024 में किया जाएगा ये, और कई स्पेस एजेंसीज के साथ कोलैबोरेट करके ये किया जाएगा। फिर प्लान किया गया है कि एक लूनार पोलर एक्सप्लोरेशन मिशन किया जाएगा जापानीज एरोस्पेस एजेंसी के साथ कोलैबोरेट करके, जिसमें साल 2025 में एक लैंडर और रोवर भेजेंगे मून पर साउथ पोल रीजन को एक्सप्लोर करने के लिए। साथ ही साथ एक मंगलयान 2 मिशन भी प्लान किया जा रहा है। लॉन्ग टर्म फ्यूचर में अगर सबसे एम्बिशियस प्लान की बात करें तो इसरो का प्लान है कि साल 2030 तक इंडिया का खुद का स्पेस स्टेशन हो स्पेस में। ये चीज
Okay, so there is a Indian space station in the works. Okay.
फॉर्मर इसरो चेयरमैन के सिवन ने अनाउंस करी थी साल 2019 में। यहाँ पर एक चीज तो पक्की है कि वो जो जमाना था, सोवियत यूनियन और अमेरिका जब एक समय पर रेस किया करते थे स्पेस में जाने के लिए, जबरदस्त कंपटीशन का जो जमाना था वो खत्म हो चुका है। आज का जमाना कोई इसरो वर्सेस नासा या इसरो वर्सेस कोई और स्पेस एजेंसी का नहीं है, बल्कि ये टाइम है इसरो प्लस नासा या इसरो प्लस बाकी स्पेस एजेंसीज का। आज के दिन
it's time for cooperation. That's what it really is. Like I said before, we all need to come together as humanity and aim for the stars.
ज्यादातर देश एक दूसरे से लड़ाई नहीं करना चाहते, compete नहीं करना चाहते, बल्कि कोलैबोरेट करना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि साथ में मिलकर काम करने से ही जब एक दूसरे के साथ टेक्नोलॉजीज शेयर करी जाएंगी, पैसे बचाने के आइडियाज शेयर किए जाएंगे, मिलकर काम किया जाएगा, तभी तो हमें सही मायनों में इंसानों के लिए प्रोग्रेस देखने को मिलेगा, किसी एक या दूसरे देश के लिए नहीं, पूरी इंसानियत के लिए। और उम्मीद है कि जिस इंडियन
That's exactly what I said, man.
इकोसिस्टम ने इसरो की ग्रोथ को सपोर्ट किया है और साइंटिस्ट को एम्पावर किया है इसरो को इस मुकाम तक पहुंचाने के लिए, हम उसी तरीके से इसरो का सपोर्ट आने वाले टाइम में भी करते रहेंगे। वैसे जो कहानी मैंने आपको वीडियो के शुरू में बताई थी उसकी भी एक हैप्पी एंडिंग है। अमेरिका और सोवियत यूनियन ने जरूर एक दूसरे से कंपीट करके शुरुआत करी थी, लेकिन जुलाई 1975 तक अमेरिका और यूएसएसआर भी एक दूसरे के साथ कोलैबोरेट करने लग गए थे स्पेस के मामले में। और 1975 ही वो साल बताया जाता है दोस्तों जब ये स्पेस रेस खत्म हुई। इन दोनों देशों ने एक दूसरे के अगेंस्ट भागना बंद किया और साथ में मिलकर ये दौड़े। वीडियो पसंद आया, आप और वीडियोस देख सकते हैं मेरे जो मैंने स्पेस के ऊपर बनाए थे, जैसे कि जेम्स वेब स्पेस टेलीस्कोप या टाइम ट्रैवल। यहां पर क्लिक करके आप देख सकते हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Interesting. All right. It was a good video. It was a good video on a little bit more of a history lesson on space exploration overall. I enjoyed that. That was pretty good. Again, link to this video is going to be in the description below. But now I think it's time for us to take a look at some of the comments. Again, the first comment I saw was, "I'm a Pakistani, and I appreciate the progress of India. Well done, India. I'm proud ISRO team. Best of luck, ISRO team. Love from Karnataka." Another fact, Chandra 3 done in just 615 crore, but flop film Adipurush was 650 crore. Huh. I don't know this movie, but it was a flop apparently. That's probably why I don't know. Chandra 3 launched successfully today. Let us all hope for the mission to be successful. Very proud. This is not an air of competition. This is the air of collaboration. Praise. India will definitely share the idea of saving money. Chandra 3 complete. Aditya L1 complete. Will be similar. Processing. Oh, yeah, getting in. Gosh, it's difficult for me to say these words. Who is here after Chandra 3 landed on the South Pole? Proud to be Indian. As Indians, we have to help our ISRO to advance so they can use better technology. Love from Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Oh wow, very cool. Why are you laughing? Yeah, as an Indian, it is your duty to sell your house to ISRO for development. What? And for that, y'all need to learn physics. What? And if it's transparent, I can do it. It doesn't bother. I kind of think of, what? Okay, done. Give me your property paper. Okay. All right. Okay. I've been working for some months in the ISRO in payload assembly division. I can feel the dedication of these engineers and scientists beyond their projects and work. Just awesome. That's cool. The message you gave at last about the collaboration of space agencies from different countries is really appreciable. It's the fact that every country doesn't want to compete now. However, they want to explore the space and solar system for the welfare and development of our Earth and our aeronautics. Exactly. Very useful information for new generation students to know history of ISRO's efforts. Proud to be an Indian. Very cool. Best wishes. This guy never disappoints us with knowledge and views. I'm an inspiring astronomer. Good to see our country grow. ISR is full of inspiration, enthusiasm, energy, and dedication. The sky is no longer the limit for our pride. Best informative video. This is not an explanation video. It's a whole documentary. Proud to be Indian. Excellent video. Again, great animation. Wow. Thank you for this video. Fully empowered me. Now I tell you, you are a true... excuse me. Thank you. This video has fully empowered me. Now I tell you are a true patriotic. This 21-minute is like a space movie. Really good content, editing, and delivery. The ravish voice is full of energy, and to all the great scientists. Thanks. All right, let's take a look at some of the newer comments. He's got a lot of praise there, but what's some of the newer comments? Newer comments are always saucy, a little spicy, a little, you just don't know what's going to happen with some of the newer comments, you know? This dog eats India or eats India. Its puppy also eats India. What is this about dog and puppies eating India? I don't know. Dhruv, your father must have also said that it was a mistake. What? Dhruv, your father must have also said that it was a mistake to give birth to you. That is low, dude. Whoa. That is too low, dude. Oh my god. Brutal. Sir, tell me about APG Abdul Kalam's mission for which ISRO is famous. Who is watching in 2024? Change thumbnail to ISRO will beat NASA. Why? Can Dhruv Rat likes ever be popular figures? All such can only delve under crevices like roaches and one day get squashed by YouTube for malcontent. What? Please don't compare two types of space company. This person clearly didn't watch the video. Okay, all right, hold on. Who wants that Dhruv Rathi should give his total income for 1 month to the ISRO? What? How long will it take for you to earn 1 month's income from your income? Okay, all right. Like I said, sometimes the newer comments can be a little unhinged. Watching this in 2024, I'm proud to say that each and every mission was successful. What does man do for power? Thank you, Veto. Time. Please, time. What is this person going on about? Please post a video of that time. I need a video of Laika's time. Laika, the dog Laika? Okay. The only aim of making this video was to increase followers. Take money, stop the development of India, make video against me at the election time. What are you talking about? What? Okay. Okay. That's maybe he just wanted to make a video about the space program, which is pretty cool. Space is pretty awesome. Okay, I don't know. Why ISRO success after 2013 is not explained. I don't know what this is, but Modi's the first word. But the Apollo mission is the biggest lie ever told in the history of mankind. The Apollo mission is the biggest lie ever told. If they succeeded to land on the moon in 1958 with less advanced technology, then why don't they land on the moon with most advanced technology? Okay, listen. We stopped going to the moon because we realized that sending men to the moon at the time, after several missions to the moon, wasn't really cost effective for the research we were getting out of it. All right? Anyways. All right. How soon ISRO will send its own ADMI to the moon? How soon this record will be made? ADMI, ADMI man, maybe? How soon the record will be made by India? ISRO will soon send own. Okay, just repeating himself. If Modi is there, then it's possible. Okay. We proud not because we are Indian. We are proud because we know how to save money. All right, I think with that, we're done with this video, everybody. Thank you. Again, the link to the video will be in the description below. On to the next one. And now we move on to India versus Pakistan. The space race. Vikram Sarabhai story. Listen, I'm just it's so embarrassing that I have not gotten names down right yet. Vikram Sarabhai. Vikram Sarabhai is what I would say. By Abby and Nayu. So there we are. Yeah, India versus Pakistan. What's going on there, huh? India versus Russia on this one. We won't be watching that one. But yeah, India versus Pakistan. Interesting. What's going on with this? I guess we'll find out.
पाकिस्तान भारत से पहले स्पेस में पहुंचा था तो
What? They reached space before India. What is this?
आज भारत पाकिस्तान से आगे कैसे निकला? एक हीरो की वजह से। उस हीरो का नाम है विक्रम साराभाई।
आज हम टीवी पर क्रिकेट मैच एंजॉय करते हैं, IIM अहमदाबाद में जाने के सपने देखते हैं या फिर इसरो के अचीवमेंट्स देखकर प्राउड फील करते हैं।
In this video, we learn about the space race between rivals India and Pakistan. All of us are aware of space race between superpowers USA and USSR, but there was another space race going on in the 1960s between India and Pakistan. Did you know Pakistan launched a sounding rocket from Karachi 8 years before ISRO was even formed? Then how did ISRO became what it is? Let's learn in this video. What? None of the other videos mention this.
लेकिन ये सारी बातें सिर्फ एक इंसान की विजन की वजह से पॉसिबल हुई हैं। आज का वीडियो भारत और पाकिस्तान के स्पेस वॉर के बारे में है।
लेकिन वीडियो शुरू होने से पहले एक बात, ये वीडियो देखने वाले सिर्फ 30% लोगों ने चैनल को सब्सक्राइब किया हुआ है। अगर
as you know, I subscribe to every channel I react to. If you want to subscribe to Abby and Ayu, for whatever reason you haven't heard of them or you haven't subscribed to them, if you want to at this point, the link to their video is in the description below. Link to all the videos that I react to are in the description, so go ahead and check them out.
आप यहाँ पर नए हैं और आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज वो सब्सक्राइब बटन प्रेस कीजिए। ये आपके लिए तो फ्री है लेकिन इससे हमारी बहुत हेल्प होती है। चैप्टर 1, कौन थे विक्रम साराभाई? विक्रम साराभाई जो भारत के
विक्रम साराभाई ओके,
वन ऑफ द रिचेस्ट फैमिली में पैदा हुए। उनके हाथ में कैम्ब्रिज की डिग्री थी, उनके पास पैसा था और भारत के बाहर काम करने की अपॉर्चुनिटी थी। लेकिन उन्होंने एक ऐसा डिसीजन लिया जो हमारी सोच के परे, भारत में रहने का डिसीजन। क्यों? क्योंकि उनका एक सपना था भारत को स्पेस तक पहुंचाने का।
Just one thing I want to know.
क्यों?
His camera angle is a little tall.
क्योंकि उनका एक सपना,
like it cuts off his head. I want to see a little. I want to see the top of his hair. Not for any particular reason or anything. It always feels like I have the video pulled down. You know, I feel like the video is like pulled down just ever so slightly, but it's not. It's the way he has his camera set up.
ना था भारत को स्पेस तक पहुंचाने का सपना।
जब भी वो ये बात दूसरों को
Not saying that, you know, my video quality like this is perfect. Like this is awesome. Like just a slight little bit of space above the head. I mean, I have a very bad video camera. I have very bad lighting, so my video quality isn't great, but you know.
कहते तो लोग उन पर हंसते। इनफैक्ट एक बार न्यूज़पेपर ने एक हेडलाइन भी प्रिंट की थी, इंडिया नीड्स राइस नॉट रॉकेट्स, और ये सच था। 1947 में अंग्रेज जाने के बाद भारत दुनिया के सबसे गरीब देशों में से एक बन चुका था। लोगों के पास खाने के लिए 2 वक्त की रोटी भी नहीं थी। हम फॉरेन एड पर जी रहे थे।
Hunger in rural India, 1960-61 to 64-65. The acute poverty of the masses in India is reflected in the extent of their undernourishment. Much of this poverty and consequent hunger are concentrated in rural India, particularly in areas where there is a high concentration of landless labor, where the per capita area under cultivation is small, and where productivity is low. The undernutrition is partly due to lack of purchasing power and partly due to shortages of food grains. The existence of a large mass of hungry populations has great significance for planned economic development. Some kind of national minimum has to provide to everyone if planning is to have meaning in the masses in general. It is important to know that the areas in which the undernourished is widespread, so that planning efforts could be directed to alleviate distress there. The article seeks to measure the magnitude of undernutrition in the different states and to analyze the factors that contribute to it, though through the effective action district-wise analysis would be more useful than the lack of required data confined study of the state level. Also, since 90% of the food grains consumption in India is of cereals, undernutrition is measured with reference to cereals only. Interesting. Okay.
थे, अमीर देशों से भीख मांग रहे थे।
लोगों ने पूछा भारत जैसे गरीब देश को स्पेस प्रोग्राम की क्या जरूरत? तो साराभाई ने कॉन्फिडेंटली कहा, भारत एक गरीब देश है इसीलिए हमें स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जरूरत, क्योंकि स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी में वो पोटेंशियल है जो भारत की डेवलपमेंट में मदद कर सकती है, हमारे रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर सकती है। और आज वही तो होता है। स्पेस प्रोग्राम की वजह से हमें वेदर इंफॉर्मेशन टाइम पर मिलती है, जिससे किसान अपने डिसीजंस ले सकते हैं। आने वाले साइक्लोन्स के बारे में हमें टाइम रहते ही पता चल जाता है और इससे डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में मदद होती है। हमारे बॉर्डर्स को सिक्योर रखने में स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी का योगदान है।
उन्होंने और उनके दोस्त डॉक्टर होमी भाभा ने अगले कुछ सालों में भारत के लिए कुछ ऐसा कर दिखाया जिससे पाकिस्तान जैसा पावरफुल देश भी पीछे छूट गया।
चैप्टर 2, The space race.
This is what I know about. Look, the Pakistan had sent a rocket into suborbit before India. I didn't know.
1957 की जब यूएसएसआर ने एक चमत्कार किया, एक आर्टिफिशियल मून स्पेस में भेजा जिसका नाम था स्पुतनिक। ये आर्टिफिशियल सैटेलाइट था तो बस एक फुटबॉल के साइज का, लेकिन जब ये स्पेस में पहुंचा तो इसने 2 मैसेजेस पूरी दुनिया तक पहुंचाए। एक कि अमेरिका से पहले यूएसएसआर स्पेस में पहुंच गया, और दूसरा स्पेस में पहुंचना हर देश के लिए पॉसिबल है। कुछ ही महीनों बाद उन्होंने लाइका नाम के एक डॉग को भी स्पेस में भेजा। अमेरिका डर गई। नासा स्पेस रेस में पीछे छूट रहा था। यूएसएसआर की तरक्की अमेरिका के लिए बैड न्यूज थी, लेकिन दूसरे देशों के लिए एक रे ऑफ होप।
अमेरिका और यूएसएसआर के स्पेस रेस के बारे में हम सब जानते हैं, लेकिन भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच भी एक स्पेस रेस चल रही थी। ये है डॉक्टर अब्दुल सलाम, जो पाकिस्तान के सबसे स्मार्टेस्ट माइंड्स में से एक थे। उन्हीं के जीनियस की वजह से पाकिस्तान ने ईयर 1961 में अपना स्पेस प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया और अगले ही साल एक साउंडिंग रॉकेट भी। भारत के स्पेस प्रोग्राम के 8 साल पहले यूएसएसआर, जापान, इजराइल के बाद पाकिस्तान स्पेस में जाने वाला एशिया का चौथा देश बन गया।
लेकिन उन्होंने ये किया कैसे? अमेरिका की मदद से। अमेरिका भी स्पेस रेस में अपना डोमिनेंस बनाना चाहता था। अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट ने अनाउंस कर दिया था कि वो 70 से पहले चांद तक पहुंच जाएंगे। ये बहुत बड़ी कमिटमेंट थी और ये पूरी करने के लिए उन्हें जितने ज्यादा एलाइज, जितने ज्यादा साइंटिस्ट मिले उतना बेहतर।
उन्हें इंडियन ओशन के नजदीकी एक पार्टनर की जरूरत थी और पाकिस्तान ने इस अपॉर्चुनिटी का फायदा उठाया।
1961 में उन्होंने सुपर को एस्टैब्लिश किया और अगले ही साल नासा की हेल्प से पहला रॉकेट लॉन्च भी किया। अब तक भारत का स्पेस प्रोग्राम
See, I did not know that at all. Huh.
स्टार्ट भी नहीं हुआ था।
His camera, he needs to pull his camera down just a little bit. It's too in.
अब पाकिस्तान तरक्की कर रहा है, अच्छी बात है। इससे भारत को क्या फर्क?
I shouldn't be complaining about those sort of things, but it's like I know just when I'm watching a video and reacting to a video, those are the sort of things that I notice.
फर्क इसलिए पड़ता है क्योंकि स्पेस और मिलिट्री टेक्नोलॉजी दोनों हैंड इन हैंड डेवलप होते हैं। जो टेक्नोलॉजी स्पेस में जाने वाले रॉकेट्स के लिए यूज हो सकती है, वो भारत पर अटैक करने वाले मिसाइल्स के लिए भी यूज हो सकती है। ये बात विक्रम साराभाई को पता थी।
चैप्टर 3, India fights
well, at this point, if Pakistan was going into space, it was even more important to India then, for sure, like they said.
विक्रम साराभाई ने सिचुएशन को समझा। उनके पास एक लंबी लिस्ट थी प्रॉब्लम्स की। भारत के पास क्या क्या नहीं था? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं, ऐसे लोग जो भारत को लीड कर सकते हैं नहीं, अच्छे साइंटिस्ट को देने के लिए पैसा बिल्कुल नहीं। एट दैट टाइम इंडिया हैड नथिंग बट वी हैड होप।
उन्होंने इन सारे प्रॉब्लम्स को वन बाय वन एड्रेस करना स्टार्ट किया। एट द सेम टाइम एक और लिस्ट बनाई, अपनी स्ट्रेंथ्स की लिस्ट। विक्रम साराभाई खुद कॉस्मिक रेस के फील्ड में एक्सपर्ट थे। उन्हें खुद नोबेल प्राइज विजेता सीवी रमन ने ट्रेन किया था और उनके फ्रांस और अमेरिका में बहुत अच्छे कॉन्टैक्ट्स थे।
उनके हाथ एक इम्पॉसिबल टास्क था। बिना किसी स्पेस प्रोग्राम के, बिना इक्विपमेंट के, बिना पैसे के दुनिया को कन्विंस करो कि भारत के स्पेस सेक्टर में इन्वेस्ट करे। हम में दम है और इससे पूरी दुनिया का फायदा हो सकता है। और उन्होंने ये करके दिखाया। अमेरिका ने अपने अपाचे रॉकेट्स प्रोवाइड किए, फ्रांस ने फ्री में पेलोड प्रोवाइड किया। ये माल एक बैलगाड़ी से तुम्बा लॉन्चिंग स्टेशन पहुंचा और 22 नवंबर 1963 में भारत की धरती से पहला साउंडिंग रॉकेट लॉन्च हुआ। साराभाई ने इम्पॉसिबल को पॉसिबल करके दिखाया। चैप्टर 4, इसरो और उसके अचीवमेंट्स। पहला रॉकेट लॉन्च होने के बाद भी इसरो को एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फॉर्म होने के लिए 6 साल लगे। उसके बाद इसरो ग्रो कैसे हुआ?
उन्होंने ग्रोथ के लिए लीप फ्रॉगिंग अप्रोच अपनाया। लीप फ्रॉगिंग का मतलब है जो टेक्नोलॉजी दूसरे देशों ने डेवलप की
Leapfrogging occurs when the nation bypasses traditional stage of development to either jump directly to the latest technologies or explore an alternative path of technology development.
है उनकी मदद लो। सेम डेवलपमेंट करने में टाइम वेस्ट मत करो, उससे आगे बढ़ो। इस अप्रोच की वजह से कई सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज भारत के लिए खुल गए। इसरो ने साइट यानी सैटेलाइट इंस्ट्रक्शनल टेलीविजन एक्सपेरिमेंट कंडक्ट किया। इसके थ्रू 2400 गाँव में हजारों लोगों को सैटेलाइट के थ्रू एजुकेशन देना स्टार्ट किया। 1983 में इसरो ने इनसैट यानी हमारा पहला सैटेलाइट कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम लॉन्च किया। हम चांद और मंगल पर ऑलरेडी पहुंच चुके हैं और अब वीनस पर जाने की तैयारी हो रही है।
Whereas पाकिस्तान इसी स्पेस रेस में पीछे छूट गया, इतना कि उनके पास आज भी अपनी इंडिजिनस सैटेलाइट लॉन्चिंग सिस्टम नहीं है। उनका टारगेट है कि वो 20
ISRO broke world record by saying, oh yeah, the 104 satellites. Yep. All right. Suparco was not expected to have indigenous satellite launching. It's producing technology for at least 2 decades, and target is set itself for 2040. India plans to reach Venus and revisit Mars by then, if not more.
40 तक खुद के सैटेलाइट्स खुद लॉन्च कर पाए और भारत दूसरे देशों के लिए सैटेलाइट्स लॉन्च कर रहा है, रिकॉर्ड्स बना रहा है, प्रॉफिट कमा रहा है। चैप्टर 5। So what went wrong with Pakistan?
What did go wrong with Pakistan?
इस पूरी कहानी में सुपार्को यानी पाकिस्तानी स्पेस प्रोग्राम पीछे क्यों छूटा? पाकिस्तान भारत से स्पेस रेस में क्यों हार गया? क्योंकि भारत ने साराभाई के विजन पर फोकस किया, एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी के एप्लीकेशन से रियल लाइफ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने पर फोकस किया, और पाकिस्तान ने वेपन्स डेवलप करने पर फोकस किया, भारत को डिस्ट्रॉय करने पर फोकस किया। पाकिस्तान के पीएम ने खुद कहा था, द पीपल ऑफ पाकिस्तान विल गो हंग्री, We will eat grass, but we will get our bomb.
पाकिस्तान और भारत की कहानी डॉक्टर विक्रम साराभाई और डॉक्टर अब्दुल सलाम की कहानी समझने पर क्लियर हो जाती है।
डॉक्टर अब्दुल सलाम एक महान साइंटिस्ट थे, उन्हें आगे जाकर एक नोबेल प्राइज भी मिला। लेकिन 1974 में प्राइम मिनिस्टर जुल्फिकार अली भुट्टो ने एक बिल पास किया जिससे अहमदी लोगों को नॉन मुस्लिम डिक्लेयर कर दिया गया। इस नए लॉ की वजह से डॉक्टर अब्दुल सलाम जैसे ग्रेट इंसान को सुपार्को की हेड पोजीशन से निकाल दिया गया। डॉक्टर
What? Is that real? That's crazy if that's real.
Salam loved his country. Vikram Sarabhai loved his country. But only one country loved their scientist back. And that's the difference.
ये स्टोरी पाकिस्तान को कमजोर या फिर नीचा दिखाने के लिए नहीं है, उनकी पॉलिटिकल गलतियों से सीखने के लिए है, खुद से सवाल पूछने के लिए है कि क्या हम आज भी अपने साइंटिस्ट की उतनी ही इज्जत करते हैं जितनी पहले किया करते थे। द ट्रूथ इज आई डोंट नो। व्हेन वी हैड नथिंग वी हैड होप एंड वी स्टिल मैनेज टू डू सो मच। लेकिन आज तो हमारे पास सब कुछ है, तो फिर क्यों हम रिसर्च और डेवलपमेंट पर और खर्चा नहीं कर सकते? क्यों हम हमारे साइंटिस्ट को अच्छी सैलरी नहीं दे सकते? ये सवाल हमें एज अ कंट्री पूछने की जरूरत है।
I was spotted by Professor Vikram Sarabhai because I was not highly qualified, but I was working hard. Then he gave the full responsibility to grow.
ISRO, IIM Ahmedabad, फिजिकल रिसर्च लैबोरेटरी, इन्हें हम मॉडर्न भारत के मंदिर मानते हैं, और इन मंदिरों को बनाने के लिए विक्रम साराभाई ने अपनी पूरी लाइफ इन्वेस्ट कर। कैम्ब्रिज से डिग्री होने के बावजूद, भारत के बाहर अपॉर्चुनिटीज होने के बावजूद उन्होंने यहाँ पर रहकर भारत के लिए कुछ करने का सोचा। आराम की जिंदगी को टाटा बाय बाय कहकर स्ट्रेस भरी लाइफ को अपनाया। शायद इसी स्ट्रेस ने एक रात विक्रम साराभाई की जान ले ली। He was only 52. आज है 30 दिसंबर, वही दिन जिस दिन विक्रम साराभाई इस दुनिया को छोड़ कर चले, लेकिन उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन आज भी जिंदा है।
Aspect of space research which I would like to stress most is in relation to the national capability, the self-confidence that this will generate.
एक इंसान एक बार नहीं, दो बार मरता है। एक बार तब जब वो खुद मरता है, और दूसरी बार तब जब वो हमारी मेमोरी से भी मर जाता है। तो मेरा एक सवाल आपसे, क्या हम भी वही गलतियां करेंगे जो पाकिस्तान ने डॉक्टर अब्दुल सलाम के साथ की थी? चलिए आज के दिन विक्रम साराभाई को मरने नहीं देते, उनकी वैल्यूज को जिंदा रखते हैं, उनकी स्टोरी शेयर करते हैं। आज का भारत इसीलिए है क्योंकि कल के भारतीयों ने भारत के इस आइडिया को पहचाना, अपने पेट्रियटिज्म को प्रैक्टिकल पेट्रियटिज्म बनाया, अपने अपनी फील्ड में सिर्फ खुद का नहीं भारत का भी नाम बनाया, और उन्हें हमारे दिलों में जिंदा रखने से मुझे फर्क पड़ता है।
That was a good little video. It's a good little video. This is a good little story. See, I didn't know that. The other videos didn't talk about the Pakistani military space program. So this is a good little insight on it compared to India's space program, at least early on. Yeah, I'm really glad that I watched this video. That's very interesting. All right. Well, I think it's time to read some comments now. Not many people know this, but Sir Vikram Sarabhai has established one institution every year till he died to promote and educate and empower young brains in India, directly or indirectly. Some of his institutes, like IIM Ahmedabad, NID, okay, these. And the list goes on. Because of him, we have the prestigious institutes in our country to be proud of. Abdul Salam loved his country. Vikram Sarabhai loved his country, but only one country loved the scientist back. This line sums up the whole video. That was a good, yeah. It's a good line. Very strong line. Very powerful line. We will never forget our real heroes, and thanks to you for the great videos. Legends never die, and the father of technology will always live in our hearts. Rest in peace. Quite fascinated that the entry level scientist that is scientist B position, which I applied in DRDO, ISRO, and other organizations in India, get pay level of 10th, which is around 56K base, which is very less compared to what DARPA or NASA or other country research organizations pay. I know that it's not about the money, it's about the duty they do, but still they deserve more. As a scientist, you get overall nearly 1 lakh per month, included all the allowances. You can easily live a good lifestyle. It's not individual amount we are paid; it's the amount which we deliver for R&D is less. Mind blowing. Can't believe we are still unaware of such heroes. Can't thank you both enough for helping us gain vision. Glad we have Indian heroes like him. And Rocket Boys is the best series to watch. Keep the good work to remind us why we are living comfortably in the country. Incredible. Salute. Yes, we should never forget our real icon. Keep doing information is awesome. You deserve much more reach. Keep it up. You're truly inspiring. Young people like us need you guys to educate us. OMG, thank you for a lot for thank a lot for education people about him and his contribution. Lots of respect to people like him and you. What a channel. Put every aspect which divides the great Indian society behind. It makes videos without any propaganda and immense patriotism. Wonderful. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the newer comments as well. We always like to look at those new comments. India, Pakistan, but China, India. But India is growing every day. Compare with China, ... We are ranked 4th globally. Yours? Hero, great content. Thank you. Once you make a video of comparison of India versus China Space Agency, my respect to Vikram. 1 crore like. Okay. Please make about Homi Baba. Proud of you guys for this valuable information. Everything belittles suppressed Pakistan. Everything belittles suppressed Pakistan. Okay. Congress for your 5 million. We love Vikram. Suparco means Pakistan Space Agency. Like 4th space. Oh, look on it. Is Asia's 4th space going country, or ISO's world's 4th agency. Where okay, that's the word. Like the translation was messing all that up. Well, this video is meant to show Pakistan down. Okay. I thought we were poor, but those Englishmen were thieves. Yeah. India was not poor in 1946, 6th position, but due to foreigners that took $43 trillion after independent. Yeah. Actual hero was not Vikram. It was Nehruji who sacked Vikram and was bestowed him with full support. Huh? Okay. Huh. Pakistan is written because it is Islam. In India versus China, this translation's just not working on some of these comments. Better explanation than Dhruv Rathi? Was it? I mean, it's a different thing, unless Dhruv Rathi. I mean, these channels all had a bunch of different space-related videos, but I tried to choose videos that were different. So yeah, maybe Dhruv Rathi had a video specifically on him as well, or on India versus Pakistan. I am from Pakistan. Ahmed are non-Muslim, and we will never want to go in space. Is that only reason behind this? What? Admid are non-Muslim, and we will never want to go into space. Your leaders bring religious matters even in space, but we consider our whatever this is as a okay. Then you should have to study about science history. The first scientist was also Muslim. Okay. He was killed by the USA. Maybe the CIA, if anything. Proud to be Jain and Indian. Legends never die. Please also make a video about Homi Baba. Wait, we already read that. we're regressing onto ourselves previously. He was elaborate. It's outstanding. Okay. Thus, we are not taught about him in schools. He's not taught about in Indian schools. Number 2 reason we didn't waste money on terror funding. Oh, because they're saying Pakistani terror funding. Right. Okay. Well, oh, cool. I liked the video. I did. We got a couple more to go. And now we're on to Think School. Why are Russia, US, and India racing to space? A video introduction. In the past 3 years, we've seen some of the most sensational space events in the world. Elon Musk has been launching rockets one after the other. India and Russia are aggressively pursuing their moon missions. US is about to launch the moon mission in 2025, and even China and Japan are preparing for the same. But while most people might think this be yet another exploration move, very few people realize that God, my reading comprehension is gone all the way down. Very few people realize that it has a geopolitical angle to it. If you don't believe me, look at this. In November 2019, NATO declared space as one of the war-fighting domains. I did not know that. France changed the name of its Air Force to the Air and Space Force. Russia combined its Air Force, anti-air, anti-missile defense into aerospace forces in 2015. He doesn't specify here, but the U.S. also launched their own space force as well. So do you realize what's happening? Space is literally turning into the frontier of warfare. So all of its drama, not just scientific discovery, but also about having that extra advantage during times of war. So the space race has very significant geopolitical implications in the 21st century. So the question is, how did space suddenly turn into a frontier of geopolitical power? What are the most strategic points that superpowers of the world are racing towards? And where does India stand in this drama? Oh, what a way to just pull you into the video, right? Again, if you want to see the video directly, the link is in the description. I feel like I have to say this every single time. But yeah, I want to make sure that that the videos that I'm reacting to, the common courtesy for me, I subscribe to the channel, I post a link to the video, and I tell my audience to go and take a look at the channel as well. But with these channels having millions of subscribers, and I have what, 4,000 subscribers, so probably not significant impact, but you never know nonetheless. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this bad boy started.
We have achieved soft landing on the moon. India is on the moon.
India's Chandrayaan 3 mission.
I remember
has
this.
Succeeded.
I know I didn't specify earlier
India is on the moon
in the reaction here. But I remember this, and I remember seeing India get a lot of hate for this, for their CGI representation of the lander landing on the moon. People just hate on India for any reason, man. It sucks.
India's Chandrayaan 3 mission has succeeded. No country has ever landed on this part of the moon.
Space is a war-fighting domain.
The U.S. and China are clearly in a political competition here on Earth, so it should not be surprising that it has now also become part of the space.
That's so cool. Look at that. Look how cool that is.
एक increased activity from Russia, not just pushing against the alliance in air, land, sea, also in cyberspace.
I think the space race...
Cyberspace is not... cyberspace. Are you... Cyberspace, okay.
...is really between us and China, and we need to protect the interest of the international community.
A Russian probe is expected to land on the moon's south pole any day now, in an area that could be critical for the future of exploration beyond the moon.
India is the first country in the world to land a spacecraft near the moon's south pole.
The new space race is accelerating.
Very cool. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not reflect the views or positions of any entity. The case study notes are prepared purely for educational and information purposes. The cases are not intended to serve as an endorsement source of primary data or to show effective or inefficient handling of decision or business processes. Viewers are advised to exercise their own discretion and judgment when interpreting and using the information presented. The content of this video is not intended to substitute professional advice or guidance. The content presented in this video is intended for information purposes only. The creators or producers and distributors of this content want to make it clear that no copyright or intellectual property infringement is intended. All materials used in this video have been sourced from publicly available information open access platforms or are used under the fair use doctrine for commentary, criticism, reporting, and educational purposes. We have made efforts to give proper credit to the original creators or copyright holders whenever possible. Perfect. I like reading these disclaimers.
Hi everybody. In the past 3 years, we have seen some of the most sensational space events in the world. Elon Musk has been launching rockets one after the other. India has successfully landed on the moon. US is about to launch its first human mission to the lunar South Pole in 2025. And even China and Japan are preparing for the same. But while most people might think this to be yet another exploration move, very few people realize that it has a geopolitical angle to it. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this. In November 2019, NATO declared space as one of the war-fighting domains. The United States launched the world's first independent dedicated space force. In the same year, France changed the name of its Air Force to Air and Space Force. And Russia combined its Air Force, anti-air and anti-missile defenses into the aerospace forces in 2015.
So Russia was actually the first one to do it back in 2015.
So do you realize what's happening over here? Space is literally turning into
Gundam, where everything's turning into anime. We're gonna have giant mechanized infantry robots in space, Gundams, mobile suit Gundams. Yep.
A frontier of warfare. So all this drama is not just for scientific discovery, but also about having that extra advantage during the times of war. So the space race has a very, very significant geopolitical implication in the 21st century. So the question is, how did space turn into a frontier of geopolitical power? What are the most important points in space that different countries are trying to capture? Which are the most strategic points that the superpowers of the world are racing towards? What is the significance of these moon missions? And where does India stand in all this drama?
Now,
as usual,
just you know, as a disclaimer, we're probably going to get a lot of the same information as we did in the past couple videos, but you know, just kind of looking through it, it does seem we're going to get a lot of different information as well, which is always good. I knew Think School would be different from the other channels.
Let's start from the basics and understand the space story first. The story of the space war started immediately after World War II with the US-USSR Cold War. This Cold War lasted from the end of World War II in 1945 till the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. This is when both the US and the USSR were trying to prove who was more powerful. And one of the many things that they were competing in was the space race. This is when on 5th of October 1957, USSR achieved the first successful satellite launch with Sputnik 1. And then in 1961, USSR sent the first human Yuri Gagarin to space. And the moment USSR announced this, the United States media and the leaders both got extremely insecure.
Disaster and humiliation.
Yeah.
These are the results of America's first attempts to get ahead of the space race.
The day Soviet scientists jauntily drop-kicked the first Sputnik around the world, the average American was shocked, bewildered, and resentful.
Americans were wary of Soviet intentions, fearful that this new technology would be used to launch nuclear weapons toward the U.S. Soon thereafter, President Dwight D. Eisenhower created the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA.
So that's when the United States was threatened by USSR's success in space, and they decided to send the first human to moon. So finally, in 1969, it sent Neil Armstrong to the moon. This is how the space race began. So do you realize it was not about finding anything important or discovering something crazy, but simply a political show-off. This is when finally the USSR broke into several parts, modern-day Russia was formed, and the Cold War came to an end.
The Soviet Union itself is no more. This is a victory for democracy and freedom. It's a victory for the moral force of our values.
I am ceasing my activities in the post of President of USSR.
The tricolor banner of the Russian Republic now flies over the Kremlin.
In Eastern Europe, satellite countries were freed. He even allowed the Berlin Wall to fall.
I'd like to express on behalf of the American people my gratitude to Mikhail Gorbachev.
But by the end of this war, the United States realized that, if not then, someday space will be of utmost importance. Because if you look at the trend of warfare, earlier it was just about land. And then the Brits and the French used oceans to become the rulers of the world. And then with both the world wars, air became a frontier of warfare. And post-World War, there were two more frontiers of war that got defined: cyberspace and space. And the United States realized that just like the Brits and French capitalized on the ocean when nobody was serious about it, when nobody was serious about space, if they understood the space better, they could get far ahead during war times. So if you see this graph, NASA's budget dropped drastically after their moon landing, but even after that, it kept on growing with time.
Yeah, so but it's still not as high.
Meant that NASA was very serious about space, and not just NASA, but many countries across the world have been working on their space projects for decades. And you will be stunned to know that space travel has become super cheap now. If you look at this chart, the cost of space travel after SpaceX has reduced significantly.
Yeah, look at that.
These are the prices that are expressed in FY21 dollars, and each of these circles indicates the cost per payload to launch heavy vehicles into the low Earth orbit. Here if you see, in 1965, it used to cost more than $8,200 per kg to launch a spacecraft into the low Earth orbit. But after the launch of Falcon 1, the cost has decreased drastically, and Falcon Heavy cost only $1,500 per kg. That's a 5x decrease in cost. And if reports are to be believed, then the SpaceX Starship could bring down the cost to less than $1,000 per kg. And in the next 20 years, the cost of space transportation is expected to fall to less than $500 a kg. This is the reason why every other company and country is gearing up to control the space. Now the question over here is, how can you control the space? I mean, space is infinite, right? Then how can countries become powerful by launching spacecrafts? Well, as it turns out, although space is infinite, there are some very important points around Earth that are crucial for space control. And the country that understands, explores and captures these points might get way ahead in the space race of the 21st century. So the question is, what are these points and why are they important? Well, the first category of points around the Earth lie in these three zones. Here we have the low Earth orbit, the middle Earth orbit and the geosynchronous and geostationary orbits. The low Earth orbit is typically at an altitude of less than 2000 kilometers, but it could be as low as 160 kilometers above the Earth's surface. This is the closest zone to the Earth, and it is used to place spy satellites to get high resolution imagery. And since they are closer to Earth, you can have satellites at a cheaper cost and can even be used for high speed internet. This is why even Starlink satellites are placed in low Earth orbit. And then we have the
Starlink. Now I was going to say SpaceX satellites are there. Starlink satellites are in low Earth orbit. SpaceX, Starlink, it's Elon Musk's business, so.
Medium Earth orbit, located between 2000 kilometers and 35,786 kilometers. This altitude allows satellites to cover large portions of Earth while providing precise positioning data. This is the reason why America has its
Whoa. I've not seen this graph before. Huh.
GPS, Russia has its GLONASS, and EU has its Galileo satellites placed over here. And then you have the last orbit, which is the geostationary orbit at 35,786 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Now the beauty of this orbit is that satellites placed in this orbit will move exactly at the same rate as the Earth rotates. So if a satellite is placed over a point on Earth, that point will always remain parallel to the satellites while the Earth rotates. So if someone wants to monitor a specific point on Earth for a long duration, this orbit is the place to be. And do you remember, the United States once caught India during its nuclear test. This operation was known as Operation Shakti, and the US spy satellites that detected the operation were present in the geostationary orbit. These are the three orbital zones in space that are used by the US and other countries for communications, internet and spying. And this brings us to the second category of important points in space, which are Lagrange points. These are special points in space where the gravitational pull at these points from both bodies balances out. For non-science students, if you've placed an object in space, it will get attracted to a large space body. So if you place anything in between the moon and the Earth, it will get pulled by the gravitational pull of the moon and the Earth. But there is one point between the moon and the Earth where the gravitational pull of both these bodies is exactly the same. So if you place something over here, the object will remain here without drifting towards the Earth or the moon.
So that's this point. That's like the perfect spot for I don't know, some big platform. Some like if you ever imagine like those full on like space colonies outside the space stations where thousands of people, tens of thousands of people could live. It's probably along like this point, right? I mean, this is way out into space still, nonetheless. But
where both forces equalize is known as the Lagrange point.
Lagrange points are places in our solar system where the gravitational pull of the planet and the sun.
And then the Lagrange point is where India is putting their sun orbiting satellite as well.
Portion of the orbit combine to create an equilibrium. Objects that are sent to these locations in space either tend to stay there naturally or can be kept there with minimal energy. There are places in our solar system where objects can orbit the sun at the same speed as the planet, staying in the same place relative to both of them.
In total, there are 5 Lagrange points: L1, L2, L3, L4 and L5. L1 is the point where the solar observation satellites have been positioned to monitor the sun without any interference from the Earth or the moon. So if you see the diagram, even while the moon revolves around the Earth, it does not hinder the view of the sun. So L1 provides real-time solar data which can disrupt power grids, satellite operations and communications on Earth. So it's basically an early warning zone that can allow operators to take precaution. L2 is used for astronomical observation satellites because it offers an unobstructed and stable view of the outer space, and it's close enough to readily communicate with the Earth. This is where we have the James Webb Telescope, which is a successor to the Hubble Space Telescope. And then we come to L3. As of now, L3 hasn't seen any practical utilization because it is on the other side of the sun. Similarly, L4 and L5 also do not have any significant applications that we could find, and all we know is that they are great parking spots to park objects to observe the space. So
yeah, and anything that would be in L3, you would have to have it would have to bounce information off L4 or L5 to actually even get any information to the Earth, right? Because if it's on the direct opposite spot of where Earth is at, you just being able to try to get information, you bounce everything around. Anyways, this is all I was trying to say.
So just like the Earth's orbits are observation points for the Earth, Lagrange points are observation points for the sun and outer space. And this brings us to the third type of the important space point, which is the moon itself. And this is where India, Russia, Japan and the United States moon race comes in.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket.
The first to send a man into space. In the galactic race of global superpowers, Russia once led the way.
Man's dream and a nation's pledge have now been fulfilled. The lunar age has begun.
It is a historic day in space. India has become the first country to reach the south pole of the moon and the fourth country to ever land on the moon.
To put that straight, Moon has three important resources that could eventually prove to be a game changer in geopolitics.
Water.
The first resource is water ice, which is particularly found at the South Pole. This water ice is extremely valuable because water can be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen, and these elements can be used for breathing air and, more importantly, as rocket fuel for space missions. So the country that cracks this code will be able to transform the moon into a refueling station for deeper space exploration. And the scary fact over here is that lunar water is not a renewable resource like the water that we find on Earth. It will be extracted on a first come first serve basis. So time is the essence for this resource.
Right.
The second resource that we have is helium-3, and this is a game-changing resource in itself. It is available on Earth in very limited quantities, and it is used for a variety of purposes, including cryogenics, quantum computers, and even for medical purposes. And the fun fact is that,
if I remember correctly, helium is actually becoming more and more scarce on Earth, right?
and helium-3 can be used to generate fusion energy to provide a limitless and clean source of energy without radioactive waste. And the moon is the biggest source of helium-3. This is the reason why governments are interested in extracting helium-3 from the moon for fuel supply. So if any country manages to crack this, it could be a game changer for that country. And lastly, there are rare earth elements. Now, it's not like the moon has more rare earth elements than Earth, it's just that they're more easily accessible on the lunar surface.
Right,
These rare earth
yeah.
elements are crucial for a wide range of modern technologies, including electronics, renewable energy systems, and many advanced defense applications. So, whichever country masters moon landing, moon exploration, and moon resource extraction will have a huge advantage as compared to other countries. This is the reason why India, China, Russia, Japan, and even the United States are spending so much money on launching a moon mission. And right now, India has made an extraordinary landing. China has plans scheduled for next year, and the United States aims to land astronauts on the moon's south pole by 2025. So now, what remains to be seen is who builds the most economical method to get to space. Now, this will come from a ton of R&D in the private space companies. So the second question is, what are we doing to build an ecosystem for space industry in India? And lastly, the question that we need to ask the government is, what are the government policies that are preparing India to capture the space in the 21st century? This is the history, importance, and the geopolitics of the space race of the 21st century. And I just hope you learned something valuable from this case study. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
That was good. That was good. Yeah, I mean, I think this was a very, very good video. We got to see the different insights and the geopolitical focus on it, and the cost of, like, this is crazy. The cost of the decreased cost per payload. I didn't realize it dropped that low already. So yeah, that's actually really cool. I like this video quite a bit. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, with that being said, I think it's time to read some comments, everybody. It's everyone's favorite part, where I get to go through the comments and see what everyone has to think about the video. Every individual in India should be motivated from this guy. Give their best for India. India needs to step up its space budget to ISRO. I know that our space missions are very economical, but we can't really rely on frugal engineering in our space missions for long. We need private space sector to boom so that at least we can perform missions on a larger budget. Success of Chandra 3 motivates me to study hard and contribute to my country's economy. Perfect. Rich people like Adani, Ambani, Tata need to enter the space tourism sector like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos is doing. It could create another revolution in India, just like the IT revolution. That's always a good idea. Very well simplified and explained all major points. Thanks. It was very easy to understand. So yeah. Damn, your production quality has improved. There we go. Ganesh, you've done a great job. You explained some critical stuff so easily. I have learned something today. Thank you. Keep going. This is the kind of informative content that truly deserves to be on YouTube. Yet another brilliant video, Ganesh. Nice all-around explanation. I recently learned from Lagrange points in their importance. Thank you for covering all topics in the case study. Impressive video. This was a really informative video. Kudos. Very insightful as always. Thanks, dear, for this vital info. Keep on doing such kind of work. These are important. Amazing info, brother. Keep up the good work. Very informative. Great video, amazing presentation. Okay, we get it. Let's take a look at the new comments and see if there's anything in there. Build toilets. Okay. Just a side note, the satellites all the countries are building and dropping into the stratosphere are creating enormous metal and iron pollution problems around our world atmosphere. Just Google satellite waste. We are disturbing the natural order of our planet with it. Same as we started polluting our nature in the sea, industrial age. True. There's going to be, it's going to get to the point where it's going to actually be unsafe to travel into space because of the material of satellites. Like space collision of satellites going to cause just jagged, bits of metal everywhere. So going into space is going to be very hazardous, but there are companies and there are projects in the works to clean up the defunct satellites and to clean up the waste. So we can just hope for the best, honestly. Very well researched and delivered. Thanks. How is India in space race? The country is 50 years behind in space, at least. Not really. Please stop doing these political analysis, bro. Please do your strength sides video. Viz brand analysis and lessons from it. Please, we have plenty of channels to do political content rather than case studies like you. Is this political? I don't think this video was political. Why some of your videos are not available for download, brother? You can't download from YouTube. I mean, you can. There's certain sites you can go to download, or you can, get like YouTube Premium and download, but I am mesmerized by your content. Space mining. Indian military has only 9 satellites. Please do a Tamil version of Think School. Okay. You would have to hire somebody. Please speak some Hindi also if you're Hindustani. It's time to concentrate on your own countries. Your flow, explanation, and knowledge take a bow. Think School geopolitical videos. Why? Where did India race to space? Oh, it's likely only the West has the right to explore space. The rest of us can only race to space or rush to space. I think India is not racing as the knowledge to the world herself from ever. India is giving her children resources to explore new things. India is progressing and she is taking her own time. We don't need to compete or race. In the last mission, we were the first to land on the South Pole of the Moon thanks to ISRO. Please, next video on BlackRock. BlackRock recently just partnered with another company to start a new stock market in Texas, in the U.S. It's interesting. This is not a case study. This is a cheap level newspaper article material copied from somewhere and spoken out in the form of a video. What a sham! I learned something new. What are you talking about? Ganesh Dada, you are here. How many days have you been here? Where are you? What? Okay. NASA budget. Hello, people. Please give some stock suggestions. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Every time we see an episode on Think School, we learn a lot. Thank you, Think School. All right. India, please build proper toilet first. Oh my God. Dude, it's so frustrating. All right, on to the next video. And ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the last video of this reaction. Abhijit Chavda's ISRO conquers the moon. Chandrayaan 10 should put Indians on the moon by 2035. Geopolitics, Abhijit Chavda. So he's saying the India is going to put people on the moon by 2035. So check out my introductory course. Does he have? Here we go. In this video, we delve into the remarkable success of India's Chandrayaan 3 mission as we discuss the historic soft landing achieved by Vikram rover on the lunar surface. I talk about the significance of this incredible feat with the Pragyan rover making its mark on the moon's South Pole region. In a groundbreaking achievement, India proudly stands as the second nation in the 21st century to achieve soft landing on the lunar surface. We dive into the details of the awe-inspiring mission, highlighting the impressive accomplishments achieved on a limited budget as we celebrate the dedication, and hard work of the Indian Space Research Organization. The whole country unites in gratitude for this outstanding achievement. I take a closer look at the global response to India's triumph, including a peek at some of the envious opinions, okay, from a few individuals in the UK. Huh. Interesting. Maybe this will explain the hate comments that it were. I don't even remember what video it was where people were saying, "Oh, it was the one with the British dude." Okay. Join us as we analyze and motivations behind such sentiments and explore the broader implications of this achievement in the realm of space exploration. I ponder on the question, should India's accomplishments ignite national pride given the mission's extraordinary success on a constrained budget? And of course, we gaze towards the future, what lies ahead for ISRO. For this monumental achievement, we discuss potential pathways, future missions, and the continuation of India's indomitable spirit in space. Alrighty. Well, let's get her started, yeah? Let's get it started.
ISRO has done it. ISRO has nailed the Chandrayaan-3 lunar landing.
Very cool, by the way.
The rover has deployed on the moon. It's done a soft landing. The Pragyan rover is now out on the lunar surface. It's perfect. It's a full, complete success. India has become the first nation to do a soft landing in the lunar South Pole region. It's become the second nation in the 21st century to do a soft landing on the moon, and the fourth nation overall. Brilliant job. The entire country is grateful to ISRO, and ISRO has the
ISRO, that's right. It's not ISRO, it's ISRO. Like kind of how it's NASA, it's ISRO. ISRO. I need to remember that.
world's respect and admiration, and in some quarters, the world's envy as well from certain countries, especially the UK. Some people in the UK are envious.
About 1.3 billion people in India live on less than £2.50 a day. More than 250 million people survive on less than £1.60 a day. India has just landed a space rocket on the dark side of the moon, the first in history. If you can land on the moon, you can prevent poverty.
Yes, and they have expressed certain ideas.
India have landed on the moon. 2.3 billion people in the UK aid went to India between 2016 and 2021. We don't live in a serious country. 2.3 billion in UK aid went to India. Do you mean you repaid reparations?
Thoughts about what's happening. So there's a few questions here now. Why are some people in the UK envious and jealous of India's achievement? Secondly, should we in India be proud of ISRO's achievements on a very limited, tight shoestring budget? Is that something we should be proud of? And then the third question is, what next? What comes next for ISRO? How should ISRO proceed forward after this great achievement? Please subscribe and let's find out.
Cool.
So there are some...
the link to this video, I know I said it every single other time. The link to this video is in the description below. So if you want to go and check it out, please take a look at the description.
People in the UK, first of all, let's take that up first, who have said that the UK has donated $2.3 billion to India, billion pounds to India in aid between 2016 and 2021, and they are saying that India should return this aid money to the UK because India is now a space power and we are able to invest so much money in space, so why do we need British aid? And they are also kind of blaming India for not lifting people out of poverty despite having a space program and so on and so forth. So how much truth is there to this, and is this factual, or is this just frustration and jealousy from some people in the UK? So let's understand that all of this so-called aid that the UK gives to India, it's actually given to Christian missionaries and to certain NGOs.
What was going on here? A recreation of Jesus?
Yeah, it's actually...
This is a recreation of Jesus. Where was it? Where was he put up on the cross? Was it Nazareth? I don't know. My grandmother would be ashamed, I'm sure, but yeah, I have no idea.
given to Christian missionaries and to certain NGOs that work towards destabilizing India and towards furthering the UK's geopolitical interests. This money, the so-called aid that they are funneling into India, it's not used for poverty alleviation or any such thing. It's used for the UK's benefit. It's used for furthering Christian conversions in India and for aiding NGOs that work towards destabilizing India and have an anti-India outlook. That's what the UK.
Is there a source for that? Because I find that hard to believe. Because the UK is not really a Christian nation anymore. Maybe someone can explain down below, or maybe he'll explain it as well. Because I don't the UK is not like a major Christian nation.
Is doing. That's the kind of activities that they are funding. So that aid is something that is not given to the Indian government or the people of India. It's given to these vested interests within India.
No, I
that
can I
serve
can I can
the
see
UK.
I can see them like putting it towards like specific companies or specific groups, but I don't know about like specifically like Christian. Because again, like if you look at it, the UK is pretty agnostic right now. So
His interests. So we don't need your money. We don't need your poisonous money. And understand that the UK, whatever aid it seems to have given, so-called aid, whatever money was funneled into these activities, amounts to less than 0.1% of India's GDP. It's completely insignificant, and it's even more insignificant if we take into account purchasing power parity. And then there's the factual matter of the fact that the UK plundered about $45 trillion worth of money in today's money from India, right? So, so what about that? I mean, should we start demanding that back? Reparations, 200 years, 2 centuries plus of foreign occupation, British occupation, in which they totally destroyed India's economy, reduced India to utter poverty and abject poverty and penury. And now they are claiming that India should return their money. What money? It's the UK that needs to give in India money. And when it comes to India not doing enough to alleviate poverty, I mean, there's a UN report that demonstrates that India has lifted 415 million people out of poverty in the past 15 or so years. There's an
wow,
IMF report that says that
wow.
India has almost wiped out extreme.
In India, the number of people living in extreme poverty defined by the World Bank as living at US $1.9 or less in purchasing power parity (PPPP) terms was 0.8% of the population in the pre-pandemic year of 2019, stated the IMF paper published April 15th or April 5th, 2022. India has almost eradicated extreme poverty and brought down the consumption inequality to its lowest levels in 40 years through state provided food handouts, according to a new working paper published by the International Monetary Fund. Lowest levels in 40 years.
Poverty. So India is doing fantastically well. And India isn't poor because of some defect in India's culture or society or civilization. India is poor. It's a temporary state of affairs. India is poor because the UK destroyed India. So they should be the last people to come and point fingers at us. It's just jealousy and frustration. The UK used to be the world's only superpower, the great empire, while the UK abdicated. It was the world's
Is
only
this some
superpower, the
queen that
great.
I'm unaware of? I don't know UK royalty or whatnot. I don't I honestly I don't care about the royals or anything. Even someone in my Discord was mentioning something about a diamond. How the UK stole diamonds a few like this was like a few weeks back. He was mentioning something about the UK stealing diamonds to use for like their crowns and their jewelry, and I didn't know anything about it because I don't care about the UK or about its royalty or anything. So yeah, I never. Is that a what the heck is that? Is this are these monkeys? Hold on. Wait. Look. What is this? What is this? What is this? That looks like a little monkey head. That's weird. That's weird. Anyways, like I was saying, I don't know anything about the UK government or the UK royalty or anything. I know. I've talked to a lot of people from the UK. They're pretty cool. British people are pretty awesome. But like the royalty and the government, whatever.
The great empire. While the UK abdicated, it was made to give up its empire status, its world power status in 1958. With their humiliation in the Suez crisis, and today the UK is not a second-rate world power. It's a third-rate world power. It doesn't have a space program of its own. Its nuclear warheads are mated to American nuclear missiles and so on. So it's just jealousy, petty jealousy, and frustration that we are seeing from them. We in India should just ignore these people, right? And then there's another interesting.
I mean, that is a life lesson. Ignore the haters, right? Well, you should. I mean, to an extent, right? If you know that if you say something to a hater, that they'll change their tune, then say something. But if for the most part, if someone's hating on you and you have the ability to ignore them, just ignore them.
Piece of news: the London-based news agency Reuters recently put out an infographic of the
Lunar expedition and landings. On August 23rd, 2023, India has successfully touched down on lunar South Pole. The Soviet Union, the United States, China, and India are the only 4 countries that have successfully carried out soft landings on the moon. Oh. So we have the Sea of Serenity, Sea of Tranquility, Apollo 11, Survey 7, Chandrayaan 3 and 2, Chang's 5. Oh, these are all the spots the U.S. landed in the blue. USR is in the red. There's a blue down here. Green is India. There's a USR up here. Some China up there. There's a US here. I think I don't know if it was a soft landing or not, but at the time of the uploading of this video, China also just landed another thing on the moon, but on the like the back side of the moon. But I don't know the specifics.
The various moon landings that have happened thus far. And obviously, only 4 nations have achieved moon landings: the US, the USSR, China, and India. In the infographic, they put India as other. Like,
oh, wait. Oh my God. I didn't even see that. What? Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't even see that it said other. What? Why?
USSR, China, and India. In the infographic, they put India as other. Like, if there were 15 other countries apart from these 3 countries that have landed, then it makes sense to put that as other, categorize that as other. But instead of other, they could have written India, but they chose not to. So they are also trying to downplay India's achievement. So yeah,
I wonder if that was some sort of mistake or something. I don't know.
You can see a lot of jealousy coming out of the West from certain quarters. Most people seem to be happy, as they should be. I mean, we also celebrate other nations' achievements in space, right?
Like I said before, we should all strive to come together as the human race and explore the stars. We shouldn't be confined to our petty squabbles on this little rock. We should reach out across the galaxy and establish humanity as far as we can.
So it's something that we are doing, like the Prime Minister said, to some extent for all humanity. So that's how it should be. But some people are jealous, and that's fine. Some people will be jealous, and it's something that we should take positively. It demonstrates how far we are progressing, and there are so many rich countries that don't have the ability to do things that we currently have, and we are going forward with that. So it's a good thing. Secondly, next question is: should India be proud of ISRO's achievements on such a tight budget? So, for example, like many people have said, Chandrayaan 3, the mission, its budget was $75 million in US dollars, which is less than the budget of various Hollywood movies like Gravity, which had a budget of $100 million, The Martian with a budget of 108 million. Then you had Interstellar with a budget of, I think, 165 million, and Avatar had a budget of 230 something million dollars. Moon landing was
don't even. Well, I guess this was before Avatar 2. Yeah, Avatar 2's budget was astronomical.
done at a fraction of the budgets of these Hollywood movies. Is that something that India should be proud of? And let's put this in more perspective by seeing by comparing the budgets of the Indian space agency ISRO with other nations. For example, NASA has a budget of about $25 billion annual, right? The Chinese space agency has a budget of about $9 billion,
Okay.
while ISRO has a budget that fluctuates between apparently I think 1.5 to 1.9 billion dollars. So ISRO's budget is a fraction of what China spends on space and the US spends
a
on
tenth
space.
and
So
a
I
lot
think
less.
it's not something that we should be happy about. Sure, we should be proud of what ISRO has achieved on such a tight budget, but that's not how the situation should be. We need more funding. Imagine if ISRO gets $5 billion per year or $10 billion per year. Imagine how much of its latent potential.
True. Like if you can look at the accomplishments that ISRO is doing with the small budget they have now, imagine a tenfold increase. You know, instead of the 1.5 billion USD, imagine it as, 15 billion USD. It'd be quite something. It would be
freed up and unleashed
incredible.
That sort of funding. So,
but then at that point, if you're increasing the budget of ISRO, then of course you'd probably want to pay your employees more. Then more of the budget would go to them instead of the projects, and then you're looking at a smaller amount technically, but it's give and take.
Needs is more funding. And then the question obviously arises, isn't that money that's wasted? Isn't that frivolous expenditure, space exploration, when we have so many problems here on Earth? Well, every nation has problems. The US has poverty. China has poverty, right? It may not be that visible, but it's there. In the 20th century, the USSR had a lot of poverty, and China had an immense amount of poverty in the 20th century, and yet they built up these space programs. There's a reason for this, and I've gone into this in a previous video. Imagine a situation 5 centuries ago when certain nations, when a handful of nations decided to invest in shipbuilding technology and in sailing the oceans of the world. And at that time, it would have
this is a pretty good comparison.
Looked like a frivolous waste of money, but those are the nations that became the colonial superpowers. And I'm not condoning colonialism. Colonialism is evil. We in India have suffered immensely from that, right? And Christopher Columbus, as we know, was a genocidal monster. I'm not condoning colonialism, but that's just the way the world works. If you have the technology and the ambition, then you're going to conquer the world. And at that time, nobody knew what were the benefits of sailing the oceans. But then it became apparent sooner or later. I mean, reasonably soon. Similarly, today, space is the next big frontier. It's the big domain that's opening up to the world.
Space, the final frontier. That's a Star Trek quote, right? We kind of started the video way back, hours ago, talking about Star Trek at one point. I don't remember when, but
world, and the few nations that will invest in space exploration are the nations that are going to lead the world economically and geopolitically. So space is going to give access.
Can I just say that I as simple as this video is compared to all the other videos that we watched, it feels like more of a one-on-one conversation, kinda, sorta. It's a little odd. Right? But it feels more personal compared to the flashy editing from the other videos. I kind of I like this style a lot. I really do.
Access to these nations to an enormous domain full of resources and opportunities. And 20 to 30 years from now, if India does not invest in space exploration, our future generations are going to curse us for not having the vision and the ambition and the foresight to see what space exploration can offer to a nation and a culture. So that's why India needs to invest more in ISRO. We need to have a budget that's multiples of what it is right now. And then the question is, what should ISRO do next? So we have a couple of projects coming up, couple of missions. In a week's time or so, in early September, there's going to be the Aditya L1 mission. which is going to be a mission that will study the sun from the L1 Lagrange point, Earth-Sun Lagrange point, and there's soon going to be a Shukriyan mission, a mission to Venus. There's going to be Gaganyaan and so on. These are missions in various different domains. One goes to the L1 Lagrange point and studies the sun. One goes to Venus. One is low Earth orbit human space flight. All right, but what about the moon? We have achieved a certain level of success on the moon. I mean, tremendous success. Should we not build on that? Should we not have a long-term vision and ambition? So I would like to propose a long-term moon exploration, lunar exploration program and vision for India. The question we should ask ourselves is, what should Chandrayaan 10 do and when should Chandrayaan 10 launch? Right? So we know what's happened thus far. Chandrayaan 1 was a lunar orbiter, a satellite that went around the moon, and it had a moon impact probe, and this was a fully successful mission. Chandrayaan 2 was an orbiter and a lander and a rover. The orbiter is perfectly functional right now. It's talking to the Chandrayaan 3 lander and rover. But the Chandrayaan 2 lander crashed and the rover was also destroyed in the process. That was Chandrayaan 2. Chandrayaan 3 is the recent success, which happened a couple of days ago, and that's a huge achievement for India. What should Chandrayaan 4 do? What should Chandrayaan 5 do? So I would say that Chandrayaan 4 should be something that builds upon Chandrayaan 3's success. It should first of all have an orbiter, and this is a long-term investment. This orbiter should be designed to function for at least a decade, 10 years, right? And it's going to be something that will communicate with future landers on the moon so as to provide a channel of communication with Earth, redundancy in that sort. So Chandrayaan 4 should have an orbiter. It should also have a lander, and it should also have a rover. The difference is that the lander should be larger and have more scientific experiments for prospecting the lunar surface, the topsoil and all that, the regolith. And the rover of Chandrayaan 4 should be designed to last at least 3 months. So the Chandrayaan 3 rover that's currently on the moon's surface is going to last 14 days. 14 Earth days, 1 lunar day. It's because the moon has a 14 Earth day long day and a 14 Earth day long night. So during the lunar night, the temperatures plummet drastically. Near the equator, the temperature in the lunar night is about minus 130 degrees Celsius. But
oh my God!
At the South Pole, where the Chandrayaan 3 rover
it's probably
is,
even more. How
the
much?
temperatures go down to below minus 180 degrees Celsius.
Whoa, man! Minus 180 degrees Celsius. Wow.
So, and this lasts for 14 days. So, in the absence of a heating unit, the instrumentation will freeze totally, and it most likely won't come back to night after 14 days when the sun rises again. So that's why, and maybe there's a very small chance that we may be able to revive the lander and rover, but that's a very small chance. So the Chandrayaan 3 lander and rover will operate for 14 Earth days, and that's it. That's the end of the mission. The Chandrayaan 4 lander and rover should be equipped with radioisotope heating units.
This is like nuclear, plutonium dioxide, plutonium, rhodium, pyrolytic graphite, carbon composite woven with perpendicular oriented graphite fiber.
So heater units. So these are heater units that will
because I mean the radiation of the plutonium will just it's constantly going to radiate and heat up the surroundings. So
maybe plutonium, and they will keep the systems operating during the lunar nights for 14 days. So the electronics won't freeze completely. The components will survive the lunar night, and hopefully then we can operate the lander and the rover, especially the rover, for a few months. At least 3 months should be the design. So that is Chandrayaan 4. That's what I would like to see. Then the Chandrayaan 5, the next one should be a sample return mission. So
this guy's got a whole plan. He's ready to go, man. Abhijit Chavda wants to get hired on by ISRO.
Have a lander, and it should be a composite spacecraft that has a lander and an ascender. The lander should do a soft landing on the moon wherever we want it to land. It should have a drill drill bit or whatever incorporated into its machinery. It should be able to drill into the moon's surface, maybe a foot or two into the surface, scoop out a sample of soil, rock, whatever it can scoop out, deposit it into the ascender module of the vehicle and seal it hermetically. Then the ascender should take off from the moon and return to Earth and deliver the samples to ISRO. So the samples in the first mission, in the Chandrayaan 5 mission should be reasonably light, maybe 50 grams, 100 grams at most. Yeah. Then Chandrayaan 6 should be a return. It should be a more advanced sample return mission. So the lander.
Here's the thing though. Here's the question. Like, what exactly are you sampling? Are you just sampling the ground, the dirt? Because I mean, the Apollo missions already brought back a lot of samples. So, I mean, I guess it is in a different portion of the moon. It's the South Pole that they're focusing on, right? But even then, you can get the satellites now should be, or the orbitals, they should be efficient enough, like technology wise, to actually determine what the materials are, unless you're going for like deep core drilling. You could go for deep core drilling to get even further in, but at that point, you're talking like heavy duty stuff, right?
Be larger. It should be able to, uh, scoop out maybe a couple of kilos, maybe 2 to 5 kilos of lunar soil and rocks, put them into the ascender module, and the ascender module should once again successfully bring those samples back to Earth. So it's gonna be.
I think there's so much. Okay, so the problem is, 'cause I think there's even enough samples of lunar soil that like and the average person can actually purchase some online directly from NASA. I'm pretty positive that's the case.
And a more complex and more advanced version of the Chandrayaan 5 sample return mission. And it will build upon the technology that was demonstrated in the Chandrayaan 5 mission. So that is Chandrayaan 6, a heavier sample return mission. Chandrayaan 7 should be a robotic research station.
That is a huge jump. That is a huge jump.
Other advancements as well. So it should be a much larger lander with lots of scientific instruments that can do all kinds of investigations about the moon's surface and in the region where it lands. It should have a lander. The lander will be the large thing. It should have a rover, which should last maybe a few years, and it should also have a drone which will fly around.
So this is like, okay, so what he's saying is like the equivalent of the rovers on Mars currently.
It should have a certain amount of fuel, which will enable it to maybe do 10 to 15 flying missions, land in different parts of the vicinity of the area, maybe a couple of kilometers here and there.
I don't think I don't think we can get like a traditional like piloted rover on the moon though. It would have to be jet propelled because obviously the atmosphere is non-existent, right? It's like there's like this a super thin atmosphere, but it's like an equivalent to an atmosphere of like our planet. It's basically non-existent. So you wouldn't be able to have the thrust or anything. So it would have to be like a jet propelled like flyable rover, which it is just I don't think it's feasible on the moon because you wouldn't have anything like a traditional drone or anything. And the only reason it's able to work over on Mars is because Mars does have it's a weakened atmosphere, but they do have an atmosphere.
And investigate the topology, the soil, the features, and the resources available in that region. So it will be a lander plus a rover plus a drone. So that's something that is much more complex and much more advanced than Chandrayaan 4, 5, and 6. And the lander could also have a small sealed ecosystem with plants and maybe earth forms or something, and we can see how that evolves over time in lunar gravity. And the rover and the drone can communicate with the Chandrayaan 4 orbiter that was placed in orbit in the Chandrayaan 4 mission. So that's Chandrayaan 7. That's how it should progress, increasing complexity of with each successive mission. So Chandrayaan 7 should should happen by 2030. So that is an ambitious time frame. We are already in the last quarter.
I'd say skip the rover and the drone that you're thinking of and just go straight to landing a person on the moon. That's what you should do. You just go straight, to landing someone on the moon.
So to say, in the second half of 2023, so 24 to 30 is about 6-7 years. So we should, if we are ambitious enough, and if ISRO gets the funding, we should be able to do Chandrayaan 7 by 2030. Then Chandrayaan 8 should be a rehearsal of a human landing on the moon. That is Chandrayaan 8. So it should have an orbiter plus a lander plus an ascender. The orbiter should be able to house three persons, human beings. The lander and the ascender should be able to house two people on the moon. It should also have a rover that can carry at least one human being, and the lander can also have various scientific instruments. So this composite spacecraft will move into lunar orbit. The orbiter will stay in orbit. The lander ascender assembly will detach, do a soft landing on the moon. Then it can be on the moon for a couple of days. Deploy the rover, maybe a drone as well. And then the ascender, and maybe it can take some samples and put them in the ascender. And then the ascender takes off from the moon, goes back into lunar orbit, docks with the with the orbiter, and then the orbiter ascender assembly goes out of lunar orbit and returns to Earth. It goes back into Earth's orbit, and then either the orbiter or the ascender can do re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere and land safely on Earth. A very complex mission. So that's something that should happen in the early 2030s. That is Chandrayaan 8. Chandrayaan 9 can be a repeat of this, but in a different part of the moon, so that we make sure that the technology works. It's proven twice. And then Chandrayaan 10 can be the first actual human landing on the moon. So missions of increasing complexity that build upon the achievements and technology that was designed, developed, and proven in the previous mission. That's how you do it, step by step by step. So Chandrayaan 7,
I feel like what he's proposing, you could cut out half of it. Just go straight to put a couple rovers down, maybe 1 or 2 missions, explore the area with some rovers, and then jump into manned missions to the moon. I think that'll be a much bigger feat, a much more important feat. Yeah.
Really should happen by 2030, and by the mid 2030s we should have the first Indian human landing on the moon, and by 2040 there should be a permanent moon base that can house a few people on the moon. So that's the kind of vision India needs to have. Obviously, some missions may not work perfectly fine, so we need to have contingency plans for that. Maybe Chandrayaan 10 won't be the first human mission, maybe it'll be 11 or 12. But if everything works fine, by the mid 2030s, we should have Indians on the moon. And this is important because by 2025, the Americans are going to send people back to the moon. And by the late 2020s, maybe by 2030 or so, they're going to have yearly moon landings, human moon landings. And the Chinese also have plans to land humans on the moon, maybe by 2030 or so. So if India has this vision and this step-by-step program, India can land people on the moon by the mid 2030s and have a permanent moon base by 2040 or so.
I'm in full support of that. I think we as humans should strive to make these accomplishments. I just I it feels like you should just skip a lot of the rovers and the drones, because I don't think the drones would ever work. And just go straight to trying to get humans on the moon.
That's the kind of vision that India needs to have. Ambitious vision, without which there will be no progress. You cannot have one mission to the L1 Lagrange point. I'm not saying these missions that we are doing are not good. They're great, but we should have clear long-term vision and focus for the moon, for Mars, and so on. So that's the kind of thing that needs to happen for the moon. And in the meanwhile, the Gaganyaan program will take off. We will have human space flight in low Earth orbit, which will prove a number of technologies like the space suit and the capsule that will house the human.
You know what? You would be better strive to be the first humans to Mars. Big brain.
Humans, the astronauts or vyomanauts, whatever you call them, in Earth orbit. That's something that we build upon for the human spaceflight mission to the moon. And by 2030 or so, hopefully we will have a decent, reasonably sized space station in Earth orbit. To do all this, India will have to invest in more powerful rockets. We'll have to design and develop more powerful rockets. The current most powerful rocket that ISRO has is the LMV Mark IV, LMV-3 Mark IV, which is a medium lift rocket with which can carry a payload of about 10,000 kilograms to low Earth orbit, which is a decent amount. But India needs to develop heavy lift vehicles. A heavy lift rocket is something that can carry between 20 to 50,000 kilograms of payload into low Earth orbit. So India is currently at the medium lift capability. So we need to develop heavy lift rockets, and India also needs to develop and perfect reusable rocket technology. What SpaceX has perfected, India can also do that. Why not? So these are the things that India needs to do, and also we can also have a long-term vision for Mars. So Mangalyaan
Isn't India India's partnered with a few SpaceX missions, right? I'm pretty positive I've read that earlier this year.
1 was a brilliant success. I believe Mangalyaan 2 will launch in reasonably soon, and I hear it's going to be just an orbiter like Mangalyaan 1, which is fine. So let's have a better orbiter with better payloads, better instruments, and a tighter orbit around the planet. So that's a good step forward. Mangalyaan 3, whenever it happens, that should happen soon, should have a lander that will do a soft landing on Mars, which is going to be a whole different challenge compared to the moon, because Mars has a thin atmosphere. The moon does not. The moon just has very wispy plasma. So Mangalyaan 3 should have an orbiter and a lander. Mangalyaan 4 should definitely have a rover and a drone or a helicopter as well. So that's the kind of vision we need to have for Mars. And by the 2040s, we should aim to have humans on Mars as well. So that's the kind of ambitious vision India needs to have. Only with a long-term vision like this can you have.
I feel like you should have this long-term vision, but a lot of the things that you recommended, I don't think are necessary.
A clarity of thought
just
and
cut
proper
straight
focus
to
in how to go
straight
about
to the manned
the
missions.
space program and what sort of technologies need to be developed step by step in sequence. So I hope that something like this happens. India has the ability to do this. India has the resources to do this. ISRO just needs the funds to be able to unleash its full potential. So right now we have the Aditya L1 mission that's coming up, the Shukrayaan mission that's coming up, and maybe something else. But I would like to see this sort of long-term vision and focus for the moon, for Mars, and for other aspects of space exploration as well, including low Earth orbit, space station, and all that. So that's the kind of ambition India needs. That's the kind of political ambition India needs. India needs political will for this to happen. And India and ISRO needs funding for this. And the private sector will obviously need to get involved because it will really help ISRO out and lighten the burden. So all of this needs to happen. I'm sure that we are taking steps in this direction, but I would like to see the funding for ISRO increase and the vision for ISRO become clear and ambitious. We have the talent. India has the most brilliant talent in the world, but right now they don't have much opportunities, and ISRO is constrained by its very tight budget. So I would like to see this change very rapidly. In the meanwhile, I would like to once again thank and congratulate ISRO on their brilliant achievement. Best wishes to ISRO for all the future programs. The sky is the limit, and I'm sure that we're going to have a lot more success in the future. So
Cool.
yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon in the next video.
All right. Well, good video. I feel like though there at the end, his speculations, I feel like some of them are just unnecessary. I think you could skip a lot of the things that he suggested here in the middle. But no, I like the drive, the ambition to see humans on the moon again and on Mars. That's really cool. You definitely should go for that. And yeah, this
Landing
is this is
US
interesting. I had no idea this by Reuters with India was listed as other. That's a bit disgraceful, India or Reuters. Bit disgraceful, Reuters. But yeah, okay. Well, we ended that off on the video's off on a video that's looking into a potential future, which is pretty cool. Manned missions. This is what you would definitely strive for. So now it's time to read some comments. I heartily congratulate India on a successful mission to the moon. Greetings from Croatia. I'm curious to know Churchill's reaction to Chandrayaan 3's success. Let us make Churchill's descendants apologize for his actions and words. Nixon and Kissinger, too. Okay. Is a huge international statement India made at such a small budget. What India has done is unfathomable to any Western power. Congratulations to India. Next is that mission there. Yep. My sincere congratulations to great people of Bharat. Greetings from Russia. I love the fact that you called Indian space travelers as Vimnauts and not just astronauts. Why Vyamnauts? We should call them Vyam or Bharam Yatri, not Vyamnauts. Vyam means space. Congratulations to India for such an amazing national achievement from friendly Armenia. Wishing your country many more such great achievements. India supplies weapons to Armenia. Government should open crowdfunding for ISRO, special enthusiast billionaires, common man. Everyone would love to support our space program. More than Venus or Sun missions, I'd love to see a larger size rocket or reusable rockets has a highest priority. This may need more money, which is why it's not done yet. Most people from England are jealous. India must take it positively. I don't think most people from England are jealous. To be honest with you, I really don't. I don't even think most people online from England are jealous. I just think it's a very loud minority of people. Typically when you see a lot of hate online, it's from a loud minority. I can't speak for everyone in the US, but I at least am so happy for India. I'm happy for India. ISRO is working hard for the growth of the science and humanity. Indians don't need anyone's jealous, petty people's permission to be proud of ISRO great achievements. Sir, please try to bring Dr. Nambi Naran into your next podcast. Chairman of ISRO studied in my college. Oh, that's pretty cool. Jealousy makes me very happy. I think ISRO should look into the future Chandrayaan missions as module delivery with lander. For an example, in Chandrayaan 5 to 10, they send lander which can communicate to other landers and have AI robotics with AI rovers. They all should land vicinity of each other. And the AI they can communicate to take important guidelines from ISRO, and all the lander modules should serve different purposes. Huh. Okay. Spot on. Very good video with good ideas. Absolutely awesome milestone. According to ISRO, it will take 4 to 5 years to build their long-awaited HLV heavy lift vehicle, before which it is impossible for ISRO to build a space station by its own. Love your vision for ISRO. UK funded 10-kilogram rice conversions in India. Don't know what that means. Why Indian doesn't block the UK aid? We did it in 2015, but the UK Lords asked to revive the license, so it renewed it for 10 years. Weird. Okay, let's take a look at some of the newer comments. You never know what you see in the new comments. Wow, sir, awesome analysis. I hope this video reaches the ISRO too. Oh, wow, the newest comment's 8 months ago. I was expecting something a lot newer than that. Fuck UK, don't listen to them. Do our work. How can we fly drone and moon? There's no air. That's what I was thinking. I'm gonna thumbs that up. Actually, I want to be impartial. I'm not gonna thumbs it up. ISRO should direct think of moon station instead of space station. Inflatable nuclear heated domes making home for instruments. Thanks, Chat GPT, for the content. Chat GPT. Yes. Chat GPT. Does he think that this is a Chat GPT script? Okay. If we have any kind of research centers on the moon, won't U.S. and the rest will be against, like property rights and all? The U.S. would have some too if India was planning on putting a research station, right? A lot of ex-colonial suppression. UK created United India. Without UK, there would be 28 little Indian countries. Oh, okay. He's speaking talks of my old age. ISRO's budget is low because of low salaries, sadly. They said there's no air or atmosphere to fly or use parachute. Yep, exactly. Just for your information, Reuters' majority of employees are sitting in India. What? I wanted to confirm this report from Reuters' website, which I searched for infographic. I could see detailed reports only that mention India's name. Can you put the link in the description to verify independently? Just for your information, Reuters' majority of employees are sitting in India. Interesting. Let these guys get burning. What? I think we must go to the moon. World destruction before 2036, saying God himself at Brahma Kumaris. Victory for Brahma Kumaris only, mind it. All right. What is this? For drones to fly on the moon? Why not? Couldn't have said any better, thank you, sir. Please somebody share other channels of Abjit, sir. We have received moon temperatures now. Elon is setting moon base before 2026. It will be tests for Starship. I don't think that's going to happen. All right. Well, again, these were some videos. If you want to see any of the videos, they will be in the link in the description. I learned a lot. I learned a lot sitting here watching these videos. I still feel, again, I feel like there is so much more to learn. So if anybody recommends me any like specific books on the subject, I would love that. I'd like to sit down and read some things. But yeah, I think with that we're gonna be done for this video, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and again, if you want to check out any of the videos, the links are in the description. So, with that being said, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.